Douluo, what's wrong with me being in a relationship in the spirit hall? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 What is shit eating? Letter N. Jinru put away the manual on the table and turned to look at Little Phoenix. A guest is coming. Are you sure you want to squirt there and chew peach, eat shit? Little Phoenix and Jinru have telepathy, so even if his back is turned to Jinru, he can feel that Jinru is speaking to him. The Little Phoenix who was nibbling on the peach turned around and looked back blankly. He was holding the unfinished peach in his hand, and there were water stains everywhere around his mouth. He asked in a daze, "Master, what is shitty food? This thing is called Are you eating shit? Why does it sound so weird?" Jinru was speechless. She stood up, pulled Little Phoenix up and said, "This thing is called a peach, but it also has another nickname, Peach, not Peach." After saying this, Jinru did not forget to complain, "Eat farts, do you eat farts?" Reaching out and patting the dust off Little Phoenix's body, Jinru looked left and right. She always felt that Little Phoenix's clothes were not pretty. They were wrinkled, the style was old, and the inside of the clothes was yellowed. Seeing the look of disgust on his master's face, Little Phoenix subconsciously looked at his clothes. Well, it's definitely a bit old. After carefully looking at Little Phoenix's figure, Jinru said, "I don't have any clothes here that are suitable for you. I'll buy you new ones in 2 days, okay?" Little Phoenix nodded in reply and said with a smile, "Hey, I knew the master was the best to me, I just don't want you to lose my face." Jinru replied ruthlessly, "Little Phoenix, what a joy. But do you have a name?" Jinru asked while rummaging through the cabinet. She took out a few bags of tea and a brand new tea set from the cabinet, and then walked to the spacious living room table to place the tea set. The main hall Mingyu Hall was designed according to Jinru's ideas. To be precise, at least half of the entire Mingyu Palace is occupied by the main hall. Therefore, there is a very spacious area outside Jinru's master bedroom. The piece of land was used by Jinru was a living room. The living room is connected to the master bedroom, separated by a huge gauze curtain, which looks quite interesting. While observing the design of the main hall, Little Phoenix replied, "No, master, our soul beasts can only name themselves after we have high spiritual intelligence. Before I met you, master, Little Phoenix, I was just a low-level person. A spiritual beast with advanced intelligence can't even shapeshift or speak, let alone a name. But master, now that this phoenix has become a higher intelligence, shouldn't you give me a name? What do you want to be called?" Jinru prepared everything and sat at the tea table. She raised her eyes and motioned for Little Phoenix to sit down. Little Phoenix nodded and sat next to her. "I want to call you a more powerful name." He put forward his request and looked at Jinru eagerly. In fact, he could have named it by himself, but because he was illiterate, he couldn't think of anything else except Little Phoenix. You can't say that he stole the name of a conspicuous bag, right? Although, the name of the conspicuous bag is indeed quite nice. Guangling, then your name is Xiaomang, Jinru said directly without thinking. Little Phoenix pursed his lips and was a little dissatisfied. "Master, this is too vulgar." "Then tell me, what's not rustic?" End of this chapter. Chapter 127 Invitation to join Wuhan Academy. This Jinru's question was also difficult for Little Phoenix. He pouted and said, "Little Green Vine and Blue Silver Emperor can both have such nice names. Why can't I?" "Little Phoenix, master, you are partial, I'm not biased." After a while, the fragrance of tea lingered. Jinru said, "Yaxin's name was her original name, and Jiulin's name was given by Yaxin. I mean, Little Phoenix, if you really can't think of it, why not ask Yaxin to give you a name?" "Little Green Vine." Little Phoenix thought for a while and refused righteously. "No, why not? She is not my master. Why do I need her to name me?" "Jinru, don't you think the name I gave you is too tacky? Ask her and she can give you a name that's not tacky." Little Phoenix tilted his lips. "Master, this is no longer a matter of earth and earth. It's obviously perfunctory, because I'm too lazy to use my brain." Jinru glanced at Little Phoenix and said nothing else. "You?" Little Phoenix frowned. He raised his finger and pointed at Jinru, but he didn't know what to say at this time. Jiulan led Hulina and Ziyuan, "If you behave well, I will give you a good name." Jinru raised her eyes and glanced at Hulina. She smiled slightly at the visitor, then lowered her eyes and glanced at Little Phoenix. "Good performance?" Little Phoenix's eyebrows furrowed into figures. He subconsciously raised his head and glanced at Tulina and Xiao, who were walking towards him, and Jinrinai, the two of them. Before little Phoenix had time to think too much, the two men came to them. Second Miss, Xiao saluted. Hulina saw the gift and didn't say much. Jinrinai motioned for them to sit down with her eyes, and then she continued to fiddle with the tea set in her drum. Not long after I left the Pope's palace, the Holy Lady came. Does His Majesty the Pope have anything to say? No. Hulina looked at Jinrinai and said, my brother and I are just here to walk around, make friends. Jinrinai raised her eyes and glanced at Hulina. Hulina nodded, indicating that this was what she meant. Beside Hulina, Xiao just looked at Jinrinai quietly. His observation ability is not bad. These few times he saw Jinrinai, he felt that Jinrinai's face and aura had changed a lot. He was curious about what Jinrinai had done to cause such a big change in his body in a short period of time. Drink tea. After Jinrinai brewed the tea, she handed it to Hulina and Xiao. By the way, she also gave one to little Phoenix. Thank you, Miss. Xiao picked up the tea and took a sip. It tastes good. He and Jinrinai looked at each other. Jinrinai smiled slightly and said nothing. The things she sells here are of the highest quality, and there's nothing that doesn't taste good. Apart from this matter, is there nothing else? Jinrinai continued to ask. She didn't believe that Hulina and the others went to the Mingyu Palace just to make friends. After Jinrinai finished speaking, Hulina and Xiao looked at each other, as if they were communicating something. Jinrinai picked up the teacup and looked at them without saying anything. Little Phoenix always felt confused when he heard them talking. He couldn't help turning his head and glanced at Jinrinai. Seeing that his master had no expression, he glanced at Hulina and Xiao opposite. Not sure what Hulina was thinking, she pursed her lips and then said, that's right. We want to invite you to join the Wuhan Academy and participate in the continent-wide Soul Master Elite competition in 3 years' time. End of this chapter. Chapter 128. From now on, your name will be Xiao Ju. The continent-wide Soul Master Elite competition? Jinrinai put down the teacup, raised her hand, supported her chin with her hand, looked at Hulina and said, don't you know that I am already over the age limit? This is an invitation from the teacher, Hulina said. Although she was also very confused about Jinrinai's life experience, she usually didn't ask too much about the things Bibi Dong asked her to do. After all, she has her reasons. Your Majesty the Pope, Jinrinai thought for a while and said, Saint, the main purpose of His Majesty the Pope in holding the continent-wide Soul Master Elite competition is for those 3 soul bones. Right. Hulina was slightly surprised by what Jinrinai said. How could she even know this? She knew Hulina was not telling lies. Why? She didn't know why, but she always felt weird. What? Jinrinai smiled and gave Hulina some new tea. Tell me, what else did the Pope say to you? Holy girl, I have more important things to do, and I won't waste my time on this. I'll see you off if you have nothing to do. Xuanling's soulbone? Isn't Xuanling missing? Jinrinai was not very skillful in making tea. When Hulina looked at her, she always felt that Jinrinai was waiting for her on purpose. Hulina understood, but did not take any action. I know a lot of things, so I don't need to show this expression, Hulina replied. Jinrinai asked, never mind. Hulina lowered her eyes and hesitated for a moment. She pursed her lips and said in a slightly tentative tone, it is the soul bone of Elder Xuanling. Hulina told the truth. Jinrinai's rejection did not surprise Hulina. Bibi Dong had told her early on that Jinrinai would refuse. However, she didn't know what her teacher thought. She knew Jinrinai would refuse, but she still wanted to let him go. She's here for a walk. In this case, the second young lady should just pretend that Nana never said this. Xiao opened her mouth to save the situation and gave Hulina a look. Jinrinai asked. Jinrinai said directly. Jinrinai was silent and did not ask any further questions. The movement of Jinrinai's hand suddenly stopped. I am not sure, just the soul bone of Xuanling. Bibi Dong, what on earth do you want to do? Jinrinai thought for a moment and then replied, I will not participate in the Continental Soul Master Elite competition. Why are the soul bones in the Wuhan Palace? Why is my father's soul bone here? The teacher said that the champion has added another item. Perhaps, that is what the second lady wants. After being ordered to be kicked out by the owner, Hulina and Xiao naturally didn't stay long. They looked at each other, then got up and left the Mingyu Palace one after another. Jinrinai glanced at him, took a sip of tea and said, you can think so, but I guess it's probably true. She slowly raised her eyes to look at Hulina and asked. After the two people left, little Phoenix understood the meaning of what Jinrinai said to him just now. Master, do you want me to confirm whether what they said is true? Anything else? Little Phoenix frowned slightly and asked, because, if she wants to lure me to the bait, she must bring out the real thing. Otherwise, how can the small fish take the bait without the bait? After finishing her words, Jinru put down the teacup, stood up and stretched her body and said, I have thought about it, Little Phoenix. From now on, you will be called Xiao. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 The Conspicuous Bag and the Dead Phoenix. What? The sudden new name made Little Phoenix a little flattered. He blinked his eyes, and then he realized what he was doing, and suddenly raised his head and said, Okay. Master, this name is fine, as long as you like. Jinru glanced at him and said that Little Phoenix was really easy to deal with. One was perfunctory, the other was happy. Master, do you want me to confirm what those two people said? Need not, Jinru said while clearing away the tea sets on the table. Let's wait for a while. They have just thrown out this bait now. If you go to confirm it now, I'm afraid you will never come back. Oh, Xiao nodded, indicating that he understood. Then master, if you want me to go at any time, just tell me, Xiao. I will go through fire and water, no matter what. What's more, she is only level now. She had just seen that it would take a year to practice divine patterns even at the fastest speed. Jinru stopped what she was doing and looked, and when the divine patterns are cultivated, there will be a catastrophe that will follow. The catastrophe is equivalent to the thunder catastrophe that falls when you ascend to the divine level. Ordinary people cannot resist it. Two heartless people, of course. Guangling frowned. Are you a dead phoenix? But actually speaking, she has a divine thread in her body. If she uses that divine thread to resist the catastrophe, maybe it is feasible? Jinru was so lost in thought that she didn't notice that the door to the room had been pushed open. Xiao fiddled with her hair and said, Little Phoenix, I am not an ordinary soul beast. When the time comes, I will. You finally remembered me, conspicuous bag. Jinru looked at the two of them and had no expectations for them. Guangling looked at him with her hands on her hips. Does this mean that you have emerged from Yue's body and transformed? Little Nine, in Xiao's complacency, Guangling looked him up and down, and finally came to a conclusion. You are not a child laborer at Big Brother's place, are you? Xiao corrected. Humph, just in time to face Guangling, who entered the door as he spoke. He turned his attention to Xiao. Who is he? A child laborer. A person who speaks in such a coquettish voice is not a child laborer, Guangling retorted, not thinking about Xiao at all in the direction of Little Phoenix. When he finished speaking, he seemed to feel that something was wrong, so he looked at Xiao again. However, your voice seems a bit familiar to me. Faced with Little Phoenix's rhetoric, Jinru didn't pay much attention to it. She was wiping the table while thinking about the divine pattern. Xiao's face instantly dropped, and he complained, You really don't remember anything, conspicuous bag, moon. Xiao rolled her eyes at Guangling. You are a child laborer. Xiao looked over when he heard the sound. His face tightened. Master, the conspicuous bag is here. What a dead phoenix. I am Little Phoenix, and I have a name now. Xiao, high-profile bag. Xiao folded his arms and hummed softly. Guangling saw Jinru cleaning, and immediately walked forward and took the tablecloth from Jinru's hand. Why are you cleaning the table yourself? Hey! High-visibility bag. What are you doing? Before Xiao could finish his proud words, he was lifted up by Guangling. He screamed while hanging in the air. But there was nothing he could do about it. End of this chapter. Chapter 132 Short-sighted people. Conspicuous bag. What are you doing? Let me go. Xiao roared and struggled, but couldn't shake Guangling's strength at all. Guangling carried Xiao and headed straight to the door of the room. Only then did Xiao realize what Guangling was going to do. He quickly asked Jinru for help. Master, save me quickly. The conspicuous bag is going to throw me out. Listening to Xiao's screams, Jinru was also a little helpless, but she didn't want to get involved with the matter of the dead phoenix and the conspicuous bag. The two heartless people were fighting, and she, being the heartless one, would not interfere, so as not to solve the problem and cause trouble for yourself. That's enough for you. Don't disturb my practice, Jinru reminded. I know, don't worry Yue. I will never let this dead phoenix bother you. Guangling looked back and smiled. Jinru nodded and warned, don't bully him too much, he is just a child. Well, I understand. Xuanling's soul boned as soon as the door closed. Jinru no longer heard Xiao Jiu's voice. Xiao Jiu stared at the boss. He looked at Guangling, his body was trembling, and he couldn't help shouting, "Ah! Master, save me. The conspicuous bag is going to roast me." Thinking of this, Jinru couldn't help but let out a soft disc. Although her father's whereabouts can be found through the cultivation of divine patterns, it takes a long time to cultivate this kind of thing, which can be as fast as 2 years and as slow as 5 years. During this period, the increase in soul power level will be greatly reduced. Apart from these two possibilities, Jinru could not think of anything else. If Tang Hao escapes to the Star Luo Empire, things will not be so easy to handle. Guangling responded to Jinru with a smile, and as soon as he turned his head, his face suddenly changed, and he looked at Xiao Jiu with an extremely scary smile on his face. Dead Phoenix, do you still remember what I said before? Or is it that Xuanling did not leave Wuhan Hall safely as she said? But the top priority was not Tang Hao, but the hook thrown by that woman Bibi Dong. It's a pity that she was taking the second test of kindness at that time and didn't have time to read the content of the letter A few months ago. Zhu Huking, who was far away at Shrek Academy, sent her a letter. Boom. Neither Jin Crocodile nor Bibi Dong told her the truth. One of them told a lie, and the other told a half-truth. But what exactly did Bibi Dong want to do by throwing away the Xuanling soul bone at this time? Does she know the whereabouts of Xuanling? She shook her head and didn't pay much attention to these two people's affairs. Seeing it now, she didn't have much idea. After all, Yu Zhigang had suffered a stroke and could no longer take care of himself. As for Tang San, there was nothing about him that could threaten her at the moment. What she should really pay attention to was Tang Hao. Speaking of which, 3 months have passed, and there is no trace of the whereabouts of that guy Tang Hao. Where can he hide? Couldn't he have gone to hide in the Xingluo Empire? Tisk, what happened back then? Thinking of this, Jinru frowned slightly and couldn't help but hold the jade pendant in her hand tightly. How come there are Xuanling's soul bones in the Wuhan Palace? Is it what they say is left behind after someone dies? But Xuanling is not dead at all. So where did the soul bones come from? She doesn't have that much time to waste. The divine examination is now stuck, and it is also difficult to practice the divine patterns. Regarding this, Jinru frowned slightly and stared at the jade pendant in her palm that emitted a faint light. She didn't know what to say for a while. Just when Jinru couldn't find a breakthrough, the light of the jade pendant in her palm suddenly became dazzling. The light bloomed and quickly covered her eyes. She raised her hand slightly and closed her eyes subconsciously. After the strong light passed, when she opened her eyes again, what appeared in front of Jinru was a green state of mind. Chapter 131 Meeting Jiuxin and number 039, for the first time. This is a vast green ocean, and everything you can see is an illusion paved with starlight like stars. In this state of mind, Jinru could not find the exact direction, but she felt infinite vitality here, which was both gentle and powerful. It can even be compared with the power in the secret realm of kindness here. What exactly is it? Jinru looked up and saw an endless green scene above her head. The green scene was formed by countless small whirlpools. If you didn't look carefully, you wouldn't have noticed that the slowly rotating ones were one. A small whirlpool. The rotation direction of the small vortex is not consistent, just like the pattern of the jade pendant in Jinru's hand. It is chaotic and has no rules at all. Observing this, Jinru seemed to have thought of something. She spread her palms, and the jade pendant in her palm suddenly slowly floated into the air. It seems to be absorbing the life force emanating from this state of mind. Around the jade pendant, strands of green silk threads are entangled. They are intertwined on the jade pendant, forming a dense and prosperous tree full of life force. The seal of the big tree is engraved on the jade pendant at the same time. These threads also appeared around Jinru. These threads seemed to have something to say. They gathered behind Jinru and pushed the person forward. Jinru looked at them and reached out to touch those threads. The silk threads turned and stayed in her palm, and finally converged into one word: go, walk. Jinru, where to go? You're awake. The woman was lying on the trunk of a big tree. Her delicate face, fair skin, and flame marks on her forehead were exactly the same as the woman Jinru had seen in the mural on the wall of the prince's palace. Jinru did not hesitate. She quickly followed the jade pendant, and before long, a lush tree appeared in front of her eyes. The sound of raindrops rang in her ears. Jinru's eyes moved, and she slowly opened her eyes. Tick, those silk threads seemed to be able to understand her words. They were wrapped around the jade pendant and used the jade pendant to guide the way, signaling Jinryu to follow them. At this moment, when Jinryu was stunned, the jade pendant flew away from her and went to the body of the woman under the tree. Suddenly, a strong white light emitted from the body of the woman in front of her. Jinryu's eyes were shocked, and she was stunned. He had no time to dodge before he fell to the ground. Jiu Zionor Jinryu murmured in slight surprise, "Mother." The big tree was glowing with a faint green light, and the stars were falling. After a moment, a woman in white appeared under the big tree. When he saw it, the woman who had a similar face to his own was looking at him with a smile. Her body exuded an aura that was very similar to the soul power in Jinryu's body. This aura made Jinryu feel very peaceful. "Are you Mother?" Jinryu murmured, and her eyes suddenly became moist. She was lying on the lap of the woman in white, her eyes trembling slightly. She didn't know why, but her heart suddenly felt a little more sad, just like an abandoned child finally seeing its mother, with something indescribable and unexplainable in her heart. All the grievances, the woman in white always had a smile on her face. She looked down at Jinryu with endless tenderness in her eyes. She reached out and brushed away the tears that were about to fall from the corners of Jinryu's eyes, and said with a slight apology, "Yue, I'm sorry for making you walk such a difficult road alone." Chapter 132, Give Up the Test of Kindness. "I am your mother, my name is Jiuxiner," the woman in white said softly. She reached out and stroked Jinryu's eyebrows. After a moment, a lotus mark appeared on Jinryu's eyebrows. The mark first appeared silvery white. After a few seconds, it turned into deep red again. When Jiuxiner saw this, she was slightly surprised. Her eyes moved slightly, and soon they returned to the original state. "Mother." Jinryu looked at Jiu Zionor and shouted timidly. From the beginning to the end, she never thought that she would meet Jiu Zionor in this situation even. She never thought that she could meet her. "Mother, how could you?" Jinryu had endless doubts in her heart. She frowned slightly, still a little unable to believe that what she was seeing was real. Jiu Zionor smiled. She moved her palm and gently touched Jinryu's cheek. "You want to ask why I appear here, right?" "Yes," Jinryu responded, her eyes locked on the person in front of her. She reached out and grabbed Jiuxiner's wrist, as if she was afraid that she would disappear in the next second. Jiu Zionor looked at Jinryu quietly. She noticed her daughter's mood swings and softly comforted her. "Yue, don't worry, this is a barrier formed by the power of the goddess of life. I won't disappear here immediately." Before Jinryu could finish her words, the little kitten suddenly fell into her arms, slapping and swooping, looking extremely cute. She was conducting a test on goodness. Why did the divine power of life enter her body? What is going on here? Jiuxiner smiled and shook her head. The source of this divine power is you. This is what she inherits is the god of kindness. So why does she have the power of the goddess of life in her body? Frowning slightly, Jinryu suddenly remembered that when she took the second test of perfection, two unusual forces entered her body. The two forces collided and seemed to be mutually exclusive. Without the souls injected by Liu Yaxin, her body probably couldn't bear those two forces. Just what? Jinryu called Jiu Zionor softly. Jinryu opened her eyes wide, a little incredulous. "Goddess of life? No, it's not on me." Jiu Zionor did not answer. She raised her hand gently, and a light green breath suddenly appeared in her palm. The breath slowly transformed in Jiu Zionor's hand, and finally turned into a mini version of a small breast cat. Now that I think about it carefully, one of those two forces should be the divine power of the goddess of life. "Mother, what? The power of the goddess of life?" Jinryu was slightly startled. "Mom, do you have the power of the goddess of life in you?" Jiu Zionor reached out and touched the little cat's head, and explained aloud, "The divine power of life is related to the goddess of life. Yue, the reason why that divine power appears in your body is because the goddess of life planted it in your body. I have acquired divine power, but this divine power has no other effect. It is just that after being integrated with my divine power, a barrier will be opened. In the barrier, you will see me with only a trace of my soul left. After that, you can only walk the road by yourself." "God? Soul?" Jinryu was stunned and murmured, "Mother, are you a god? Kindness?" Jiu Zionor nodded and admitted, "I know you have many questions you want to ask me, but this spiritual energy may not be able to answer what you want to know. But there is one thing, Yue, listen to your mother and give up the test of kindness." Chapter 133. Give up the goodness test? Jinru frowned and asked, why? Because you can't pass the level. Jiu Ziner looked up at the sky and explained, first, your state of mind has changed. Even if you insist on passing the third test, you will only end up injured in the end. Second, the flower god's divine veins have awakened. Maybe that god position is more suitable for you, goddess of flowers? Is that your goddess, mother? Yes, Jinru. Then why would Jackson tell me that you are a 19-year-old soul beast? The gods are just going through calamities. As he said that, Jiu Ziner suddenly became sad. I always thought that going through tribulations was a very simple matter. Until I met Xuanling, I thought that I would never want to return to the god realm again. What's wrong with God? Jinru asked aloud. Jinru frowned slightly, puzzled. How will she and Guangling do the same? Humans and gods are separated, and they will never see each other again. Jiu Ziner, it's okay to say it's okay. It's not okay to say it's bad. Yue, when you have been alone for hundreds of years, you will feel that becoming a god is not as good as simply living a human life. God, how can it be so easy to get through that kind of endless loneliness, especially when humans and gods are separated and never see each other again? Yes, Jiu Ziner nodded. She and Jinru stood up one after another. In Jinru's sight, Jiu Ziner reached out and touched the trunk of the big tree in front of her and said, some things happen secretly. It is destined that no matter how I choose or how I escape, there will always be that result, so whether I choose to become a god or not, there will ultimately be no result between me and him. Jiu Ziner, perhaps you will think that this assessment is unnecessary, but at that time, I also had inner demons just like you do now. You have to know that when you have inner demons in your heart, you will not be able to fully become a god. Even if you complete the divine examination, your foundation will not be stable, so that choice is inevitable. Why do you say that? The little cat in Jinru's arms closed its eyes and listened quietly to the conversation between mother and daughter. It opened its mouth and burped softly. Jinru glanced at it subconsciously and stretched out her hand to rub it. Rubbing its head, he said, so, did mother choose to give up and become a god? Jinru called out gently and asked the confusion in her heart, why did you and father become like this? Jiu Ziner was silent for a long time, then she looked away, and then she looked at Jinru with a smile, seemingly relieved. Yue, things in this world are always difficult. If the price of becoming a god is to lose the person you love most, will you choose to become a god, losing the person you love most? Mother, Jinru's lips twitched. Why is there such an unwritten choice? That's my test. For some reason, when she listened to Jiu Ziner's words, she seemed to see the future between herself and Guangling. Maybe there would not be a happy ending between her and him. I've already told you the answer. Yue, somewhere, is it predestined? Jinru lowered her eyes slightly. Xuanling and I, Jinru, mother, how long will you exist in this barrier? Just this time. Jiu Ziner took back her hand. It's almost time, she murmured, and then turned back to look at Jinru. Yue, cultivating the divine patterns will definitely lead to catastrophe. If you can obtain the flower divine artifact before the divine patterns are completed, perhaps the catastrophe will come. It'll take your back. Chapter 134 Ba, Love Brain. After finishing her words, before Jinru had time to think, another bright light flashed before her eyes. The bright light stung her eyes, and she had to reach out to block it. After a while, she returned to the familiar room, opened her eyes again. The surroundings were quiet, except for a little milk cat, which made a meow, meow, meow sound next to her. Jiu Ziner suddenly appeared and then disappeared. Regarding this, Jinru also felt a little complicated. She looked down at the kitten that fell on her bed. The light of the jade pendant in her palm was more dazzling than before. Is it because of the divine power of life? Jinru thought this, but she didn't say anything. She stared at the little milk cat quietly, reached out and touched its little head. From now on, your name will be Yai. Meow meow. This little kitten is pure white with short hair and feels very good when rubbed. After Jinru gave it a name, it called out with satisfaction, and then rubbed Jinru again. In the palm of his hand, he seemed to like Jinru's appearance. Jinru smiled slightly, hugged Yai and got out of bed. I don't know if there is cat food here. If there is none, you can only eat meat. Meow. The little cat Yai nodded with satisfaction. There was nothing to fault. Jinru liked such an obedient Hakimi. She carried Yai and sat down on the sofa. She took out a bag of nuts from the drawer of the coffee table and poured it on the table. Then she put Yi on the table and let her go. It went to eat and crawl. Jinrinai looked at it and didn't know what she was thinking. At this moment, the careless voices of Guangling and Xiao Jiu suddenly sounded outside the room. The next moment, Guangling carried it like a chicken. Xiao Jiu was brought in. Master. Help. Xiao Jiu, my little heart is going to stop with fear. As soon as she raised her eyes, Jinrinai saw Xiao Jiu's dancing figure and his heart-wrenching voice. Maybe it was because the sound was too loud, but it frightened Yi, who was eating nuts at the table. The fur on Yi's body suddenly stood up, and like a rabbit, the cat jumped into Jinrinai's arms and hid. Jinrinai looked at Xiao Jiu and Guangling, and fired a map cannon. What are you yelling about? Aren't you still alive? If he dares to burn you, you will be scared to death, then he will have to fight with the Lord of Health to snatch the beast. Stop making noise, you are scaring my Yi. Yi, what is Yi? Guangling and Xiao Jiu couldn't help but look at the little milk cat in Jinrinai's arms. Xiao Jiu blinked his eyes and asked directly, Master, when did you get a little kitten? Why didn't I know about it? Don't say you don't know. I don't know either. Guangling agreed, throwing Xiao Jiu directly onto the blanket and mat. You when did you get a cat? He greeted her with a smile, which was completely different from his attitude towards Xiao Jiu just now. Xiao Jiu, you're so convinced. You have to say poof when zombies eat your brain. Love brain. I raised it just now, Jinrinai replied and handed Yi to Guangling. Would you give me a hug? It feels so comfortable when you rub it. Hey. I see, then I have to hug it. Guangling would not refuse the pet Jinrinai handed over, no matter if it was a cat or an insect. He stretched out his arms to hug Yi and rubbed it subconsciously. Yi's belly was slightly stunned and she said, but you isn't it a little fat? Chapter 135 Confession. How could the cat lose weight? I didn't abuse it. Jinrinai glanced at Guangling, then stretched out her hand, touched Yi's head and asked with a smile, isn't that true, Yi? Meow meow. Yi nodded and immediately jumped out from Guangling's hand and jumped directly on Jinrinai. Jinrinai smiled haha, hugged Yi, touched and scratched, and Yi cried out. The two seemed to be in perfect harmony. Seeing this, Guangling shrugged helplessly. He reached out and patted Jinrinai's shoulder. You I have something to say. What's the matter? Jinrinai tilted her head and looked at Guangling. Just in time, I also have something to tell you. After finishing her words, before Guangling could reply, Jinrinai threw Yi to Xiao Jiu who was sitting on the carpet. Xiao Jiu, take Yi out to play first. Ling and I have something serious to talk about. Oh, Xiao Jiu took the kitten and didn't ask any questions. He went out with the kitten in his arms. Soon, the room became quiet. Guangling looked at Jinrinai and raised her eyebrows. What's the matter? Do you have to send away little Phoenix? It doesn't count. Jinrinai pulled Guangling to sit down. Ling, I'm going to practice in seclusion for a while. Practice in seclusion? Why? After hearing this, Guangling frowned. Jinrinai was only at level. Why should he go into seclusion so soon? Isn't this a good time to go out and practice? Seclusion would be a waste of time. After all, improving the level of soul power depends entirely on retreat, and it won't be fast. Jinrinai saw Guangling's expression and immediately understood what he was thinking. She moved her body, got closer to Guangling, rested her head on his shoulder and said, I just met my mother, Jiuxiner. What? Guangling's body visibly paused, and he glanced down at Jinrinai in surprise. Isn't she your mother? She is dead, but there is a divine power on the jade pendant she left for me. That divine power pulled me into space. In the space, I saw her, Jinrinai said unhurriedly. Also, one more thing, I can no longer take the goodness god test. What? Before Guangling could react from the last news, Jinrinai suddenly announced the next big news. He frowned and asked in confusion, why? That's a divine test. Jinrinai smiled lightly, and Guangling's reaction was what she expected. She patted the back of Guangling's hand and explained, it's just a divine test. Without this one, there will be another one, the 3 tests of kindness. It is a test of Xingxing, and the assessment time limit given is less than 1 year. When I first came into contact with the 3 tests of kindness, I noticed something was wrong. At that time, I thought it was just due to lack of strength. Until I met my mother, she told me that it was because of the state of mind. State of mind? What do you mean? Jinrinai, while taking the 2nd test of kindness, I developed an inner demon. The inner demon has always been with me and cannot be eliminated or defeated. Therefore, in the test of pure kindness and good nature, I have no the ability is past. In addition, even if there is no good god test, I will have other god tests, so you don't have to feel sorry for me. Guangling was silent for a while, and finally figured out why Jinrinayu's condition was not right after taking the second test of kindness. It turned out that she had inner demons. It's just that why she didn't tell him about this earlier and left him guessing for a long time is worrying. Sighing slightly, Guangling was worried about the inner demons mentioned by Jinrinayu, but outsiders could not interfere with things like inner demons. In any case, Jinrinayu could only rely on Jinrinayu to resolve this matter. As for what do the other divine tests mean, he grasped the key point and asked, "My mother is the former flower goddess," Jinrinayu said calmly. She said calmly, "My mother told me that the flower goddess's divine veins have been opened, and the divine test will be held in the near future. Compared with a good goddess, this god's position, it suits me better." Flower god, god? Jiu Zioner, is, the god of flowers? Shocking news rushed into Guangling's brain one after another. Guangling's pupils were slightly dilated and he was speechless. What kind of treasure did he pick up? No wonder her innate soul power is beyond ordinary people. She turns out to be the daughter of a god, and her martial soul is a gift from the gods. It is by no means comparable to ordinary people, but Guangling didn't know what he was thinking of, but his eyes suddenly dimmed, as if he had a different emotion. "What's the matter? Do you think it's ridiculous?" Jinrinayu asked with a smile. She raised her head, looked at Guangling and said, "Actually, I also think it's ridiculous, but seeing is believing. Although I don't know that as a god, why did my mother give up returning to the god realm and die in the lower world? But at least, I know my life experience. Even if this life experience is not complete, it is better than being confused anyway. Next, I want to find out, where's my father?" Guangling frowned and looked at Jinrinayu. He accepted too much information at this time and he was a little unable to react. "Elder Xuanling, didn't you already die?" Just now in the Golden Crocodile Hall, he listened to Golden Crocodile Douluo talk about the whole process of Xuanling's martyrdom. No, as soon as he finished listening, he came to the Mingayu Hall, wanting to tell Jinrinayu the news, but Jinrinayu didn't know that Jinrinayu now actually said, "Xuanling is not dead? Did Golden Crocodile Douluo lie? Guangling now only feels that one is bigger than the other. How can his second brother lie to others? Do you still remember the box I brought back from Emperor Zhu Yi?" Jinrinayu looked at Guangling, who nodded. "There is a portrait in a book in it, you know." "Yes, I know." Guangling nodded again. Jinrinayu said, "After you left that day, I found a jade pendant in the book. That jade pendant was a relic left by my mother. There may be a trace of divine power left on it. That jade pendant can monitor my father's vitality. As long as my father is not dead, the light of that jade pendant will not dissipate, and when I saw that jade pendant was indeed shining with light, so just now in the Golden Crocodile Palace, I asked repeatedly Grandpa Jin Crocodile, confirm whether Grandpa Jin Crocodile really knows the truth." "He knows," Guangling replied, "very sure." He tightened his eyes and said, "Yue, after you left, the second brother explained to me and the third brother the cause of Xuanling's death and the whole process of what happened that year. He said that Elder Xuanling did indeed die from serious injuries and died. He even said that he saw it with his own eyes. In this case, he must have lied and concealed it, but the things that the second brother could conceal were either difficult to say or something that there is another secret, and now that I think about it carefully, he said those words deliberately for me to hear." In the words of Golden Crocodile Douluo and Jinrinayu, Guangling obviously chose to believe the latter unconditionally. Listening to his analysis, Jinrinayu felt an inexplicable warmth in her heart. It is a blessing to have this love for 3 lifetimes. How lucky she was to meet such a person. "Tisk, Yue, this second brother is too unreliable. Let's go find the eldest brother. The eldest brother is an honest man. If the second brother knows it, he must know it too. If you ask him, he might tell the truth." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136. I will be by your side. Then your elder brother really has to thank you for speaking so highly of him. Jinrinayu couldn't help complaining, and her heart really spoils the atmosphere. She was watching well, and when such a sentence suddenly popped up, she really didn't know whether to say Guangling was wise or wise. "There is no need to go to Grandpa." Jinrinayu stretched out her hand to press Guangling's hand. Grandpa Jin Crocodile knows it, and Grandpa Jin Crocodile must also know it, but since Grandpa Jin Crocodile refuses to tell the truth, there must be something hidden inside, like this. If Grandpa Jin Crocodile doesn't tell you, Grandpa Jin will definitely not tell you anything, so there's no need to ask him in front of him. But, Guangling frowned. It's about your father, how can you just let it go? They concealed the truth so that you couldn't see the other side of you. Is this right? Then what if they don't know that my father is still alive? Jin Renai analyzed aloud. I think this matter is definitely not that simple. What Grandpa Jin Crocodile said may be true or false. This now I have no way to confirm. What if my father died in front of him, but he didn't know that my father really died? Of course, the possibility you mentioned also exists. At the beginning, that's what I thought. Well, Guangling pondered for a while. Yue, although what you said makes sense, I still think my guess is correct. Based on my understanding of the second brother for many years, he definitely didn't see it with his own eyes. Elder Xuanling died, most likely because he was hiding something. Seeing that Guangling was so sure, Jin Renai couldn't help but sigh. There's a possibility, but now is not the time to dwell on it. It's about your father, how can you not be entangled? Guangling retorted. Jin Renai pursed her lips. I believe in my mother, so I firmly believe that my father is still alive. If I want to find my father, it doesn't have to be you can only find it through Grandpa Jin Crocodile and Grandpa Jin Ling. The reason why I chose to retreat is because I want to practice divine patterns, cultivation of divine marks. What is that? Guangling looked at Jin Renai, but she hadn't seen him for a while. He just didn't want to see his future mother-in-law. Why did so many things suddenly surprise him? His family Yue, how many things does he still not know? Next, Jin Renai introduced to Guangling the function of divine patterns and the matter of Sanju martial spirit. However, she deliberately avoided some dangerous things and did not say anything. She only explained that the divine pattern could guide her to find Xuanling, and after the divine pattern was completed, her martial soul could undergo 3 awakenings and become the Nine-Petal Immortal Lotus with a divine pattern, thus start the divine test. When Guangling heard this, he was confused and shocked. Although he didn't know what divine patterns were, it sounded like they weren't that easy to cultivate. In addition, Jin Renai's martial soul can actually perform the 3rd awakening. This is really unheard of and it is the first time he has heard of it. However, since Jin Renai had decided to do these things, Guangling would only choose to support him. He held Jin Renai's hand tightly and said, Yue, no matter what you decide, I will be by your side, but one thing, you must tell me about dangerous things, and never carry it alone, okay? Guangling's eyes were affectionate and touching. Jin Renai looked at him, a little surprised. She bit her inner lip gently, as if hesitating to say something. The two of them looked at each other. Jin Renai's eyes met. The small bead in the ball kept spinning. When Guangling saw this, he also noticed Jin Renai's hesitation. He reached out and touched Jin Renai's cheek, and couldn't help but ask with concern, Yue, what's wrong? Chapter 137, Conquering Demons. Sitting on the bench. I'm fine. Jin Renai smiled softly and immediately changed the subject. Ling, I am in retreat to practice divine patterns. Although this will delay the improvement of my soul power, I want to complete it as soon as possible. It concerns Jin Renai's father, and Guangling will not stop her, but if she is anxious, she may not get any good results. He pursed his lips, as if he had thought of something. Yue, can we use external objects to help us practice the divine patterns, using foreign objects? Jin Renai shook her head. I'm not sure about this, I have to ask Yaxin. Well, let's wait a few days and ask again. Guangling said this, and then he pulled Jin Renai up. Jin Renai looked at him. What's wrong? Where are you going? There's a place to go. Guangling looked back and smiled softly. Last time in the Star Dou Forest, I found a soul beast that is suitable for you. How about we go and capture it? What spirit beast? Jin Renai raised her eyebrows. How could she not know that Guangling had gone out specifically? Last time, wasn't she? Jiayulan, Qingluan and him looking for a suitable soul beast in the Star Dou Forest. Haha, Guangling said mysteriously. Anyway, it's just the right thing. Where did you go to catch an ice crystal phoenix? Jin Renai tilted her head and said with a smile. After hearing this, Guangling immediately let out a baba and said straightly, Yue, although I don't like Xiaoju very much, but soul beasts like the ice crystal phoenix are not bad. In the entire far north, I have only found that one, only. If we can really find the second one, That's good. Maybe we can also explode another soul bone to find a companion for Xiao Jiu. Then Xiao Jiu has to thank you for finding him a companion. You're welcome. I have a good heart. A few days later, midnight, sunset in the forest. A green figure shuttled through the forest. Her skills were strong and her speed was extremely fast. The forest was filled with a sound of rustling leaves, and the figure's footsteps finally stopped in the middle of the sunset forest. In front of her was the boundary of the core area. She stood there for a long time, not knowing why she was hesitating. A moment later, another voice sounded in the forest. The figure turned back and suddenly bumped into a familiar face. Conquer the devil. Xiner was shocked. Why are you here? Isn't this because you sneaked out of Wuhan Hall and want to know where you are going? Zhang Mo carefully observed the surrounding environment. He walked around Xiner and said, Xiner, if you go further, you will see the sunset. This is the core area of the forest, and there are tens of thousands of soul beasts in it. You are just a soul saint. Why do you want to go in? Xiner was silent. She frowned and began to reflect on herself along the way. She didn't notice anyone following her. It seemed that her anti-reconnaissance ability needed to be strengthened. Come out and get some fresh air, can't you? She opened her eyes and said, nonsense, it's you. Why are you following me? Track, Zhang Mo, don't say it so harshly, okay? I'm worried about your safety, so I followed you. You ran out secretly in the middle of the night. Who else would be relieved? I feel relieved if I exchange 5 offerings, Xiner revealed ruthlessly. Are you just worried about me? That's why you followed me? Zhang Mo choked, his pupils slightly dilated. He looked at Xiner and hesitated. No, who is worried about you? I just think it's not normal for you to go out at this time. What if you don't do anything good, huh? Xiner laughed out loud. How can I not do any good things? Everything I do is because I received instructions from my young master. Could it be that you said that my young master doesn't do good things all day long? I didn't say that, Zhang Mo retorted. Will your young master let you go into the depths of the sunset forest? Don't seek death and come back with me. After saying this, he grabbed Xiner's wrist and reluctantly took Xiner away from the sunset forest. Since Xiner was not willing to leave quickly and there was no way to defeat the demon, the two of them had no choice but to walk all the way from the sunset forest towards Wuhan City. As Zhang Mo walked, he felt that the road was long and boring. He glanced at Xiner beside him and saw that there was no tiredness on her face. In order to prevent Xiner from teasing him, he remained silent. It was rare to see Zhang Mo hold back for such a long time. Xiner couldn't help but glance at him. At this moment, Zhang Mo also looked at her again. The two looked at each other. On the quiet street, the cool breeze blew gently, blowing Xiner's green color. Her long hair, and her eyes seemed to shine even more in the dark night. Zhang Mo paused for a moment and was speechless. For a moment the two of them stopped and looked at each other tacitly. Xiner subconsciously checked her heart. Not surprisingly, her heart was beating harder than usual at this moment. Zhang Mo turned around, stared at the face of the person in front of him and said, Xiner, you? Xiner looked up at him, and the two looked at each other. The next moment, Zhang Mo reached out and touched Xiner's cheek. He wiped her face hard, making Xiner hiss, and immediately opened his hand. What are you doing? Xiner glared and said angrily. She rubbed her cheeks, her eyes full of distress. Seeing this, Zhang Mo couldn't help but explain. There's black stuff on your face. I just wipe it for you. No, just wipe it. Can you be gentler? Xiner retorted, reaching out and pinching Zhang Mo's face. Zhang Mo was shocked and immediately opened Xiner's hand. You are too hard. How could I have used so much force just now? Your skin is rough and your flesh is thick. It's different, Xiner retorted. I have such a thin skin and tender flesh, and if you rub it so hard, it must be red. Your skin is so thick, if I don't use a little force, will you know the pain? Seeing the blush on Xiner's face, Zhang Mo was speechless. Just now, he seemed to have used a little too much force. I'll be careful next time, Zhang Mo said. Go back first, Xiner, there's still next time. Xiao will be worried if she knows that you went to such a dangerous place alone, Zhang Mo chirped. I don't want her to be chasing me for someone by then. Even though she looks quite cute, in fact, she has fifth brother is equally annoying, maybe because she has been with him for a long time, she will be assimilated by him. You are the one who is annoying, Xiner retorted mercilessly. When it comes to being annoying, Wu Songfeng is indeed number one, but my young master is definitely not second. Compared to my young master, I think you are more annoying. Hiss, Xiner, you? Zhang Mo followed Xiner. He pointed and said, I'm just a metaphor, Xiner. suddenly turned around and grabbed his finger. No metaphors allowed. I want metaphors. Zhang Mo was unconvinced. I have a mouth, so I can say whatever I want. Xiner rolled her eyes. Okay, you have a mouth. You can say whatever you like. I'm too lazy to care about you, so don't care about me. No, Xiner, you can take care of me less, but I can't take care of you less. You walked out of my demon-conquering palace today. If you disappear, Xiao will nag me to death. Zhang Mo went back to the original point. Xiner covered her ears and walked quickly. She didn't want to hear Zhang Mo chattering in her ears. Zhang Mo followed her footsteps and talked as if he was chanting sutras, which really annoyed Xiner. She really didn't want Zhang Mo to chirp in her ears anymore, so she jumped into the air and walked quickly. Even if Zhang Mo said something, she couldn't hear clearly in this way. The two of them stayed outside all night, and did not return to the demon-conquering hall until dawn. Xiner drove straight in. Zhang Mo followed her, and couldn't help complaining. Women are so troublesome, they come up every time they think about it. I hate troublesome people the most. Bang! The next moment, Zhang Mo was locked out. Hey! Xiner! This is my home. You locked me out, he shouted. Don't you like to be with troublesome people? Then you can just stay outside. Since your home is so big, you don't necessarily have to go to this door. Can't you go to the other door? Xiner quickly walked upstairs. She lay by the window upstairs and looked at the demon downstairs, showing an elusive smile. Subduing demon. Forget it. Good men don't fight women. He went through the other door going up to the second floor. Zhang Mo seemed to have thought of something. He walked straight to the door of Xiner's room and knocked on the door. By the way, Xiner, I forgot to tell you something. Xiao said that she would go there today. Young master, do you want to go with her on that trip? Tiandao Palace. Xiner immediately opened the door. When will my young master leave? Let's wait a moment, Jiang Mo replied, looking Xiner up and down. Within a few minutes, she had already taken a bath and even put on her pajamas. You are moving too fast. How long can a shower take? Xiner, are you going or not? Me? Of course I won't go, Jiang Mo said. It would be too conspicuous for me to go, and fifth brother has to follow Xiao, so adding me would be a bit too conspicuous. You can also wear a hood, Xiner suggested. No, Zhang Mo refused. That thing is boring. I don't have to go, so I don't use that thing. Xiner, then think about it from another perspective. Young master and the others are going to meet the eldest young master. We don't have to go, but taking this opportunity, can't we have fun in Xiandao City? Zhang Mo stared at her. You want me to accompany you to Xiandao City? Well, you can think so. Xiner nodded. This change of attitude made Zhang Mo feel a little strange, but in the end, he didn't think much and directly agreed to Xiner's suggestion and accompanied her and Jin Rinayu to Xiandao City. After getting on the carriage, Zhang Mo realized that King Lun was also there. There were 7 people in the carriage, including a child. Although Zhang Mo met Xiao Jiayu once, he, like Guangling, did not remember people, so he asked Xiao Jiayu a few more questions for a moment. He thought Xiao Jiayu was Guangling's illegitimate son. Unexpectedly, as soon as he said this idea, he was scolded by Guangling, while Xiner, standing aside, ruthlessly complained, "You deserve it." Along the way, everyone was doing their own thing. Due to Zhang Mo's intervention, Guangling had to restrain himself. King Lun asked Jin Rinayu to sit next to him, and Xiao Jiu and Guangling sat together. As for the other 3 people, Xiner chose to sit with Jiayu Lan, and in the end Jiang Mo was left, and he could only sit on the bench alone. Jiang Mo, thank you so much. End of this chapter. Chapter 138, bringing together 2 people who have a crush on each other. Heavendao Empire. By the time the carriage arrived, it was already early morning on the 3rd day. Jin Rinayu and Guangling were going directly to the Xiandao Palace, so Zhang Mo and Xiner got off the carriage when they entered the country. They jumped off one after the other. Xiner waved to Jin Rinayu and said, "Young master, please let me know if you have anything to do. I'll go shopping with Zhang Mo first." "Well, okay, I wish you have a good time." Jin Rinayu smiled and responded to Xiner's gesture. Then she took off the money bag from her waist and threw it to Xiner. "Go and buy whatever you want. If you don't have enough money, Grandpa Jiang Mo, I may need you. It's a waste of money." "Well, I got it." Jiang Mo curled his lips. He knew that it was not good for Xiner to ask him out so kindly. Jiayu Lan looked at them and couldn't help but snicker. Xiao Jiayu blinked beside her and asked softly, "Sister Jiayu Lan, why are you laughing?" "Children, don't ask so many questions. You will know when you grow up." Jiayu Lan gently rubbed Xiao Jiayu's head and smiled softly. "Anyway, This is something worth being happy about. Oh, Xiao Jiu nodded obediently. Okay, Sister Jiulin, you must tell me when I grow up. Well, okay, Jiu Lan responded, and the two of them stopped talking in front of Jiu Lan. Xiao Jiu seemed particularly obedient, perhaps because of the affinity emanating from Jiu Lan. No matter what animal he met, he seemed to be closer to her, such as Yi the little milk cat lay in Jiulan's arms and slept for a long time. It burped lightly, meow, and then continued to sleep. That's it, young master, remember to sense me if anything happens. I will appear immediately. Before the carriage drove away, Xiner did not forget to give Jinrinai some instructions, and Jinrinai responded repeatedly. She agreed, but in her heart, she didn't take it seriously. After all, she was more concerned about bringing two people she liked together. Watching the carriage go further and further away, Jiang Mo saw that Xiner still had no intention of leaving, so he couldn't help but reached out and patted her shoulder. We've already gone a long way, and you're still watching. Don't you want to go shopping? I'll accompany you. Come on, wherever you want to go, I will take you there. Huh? Are you familiar with this place? Xiner turned her head and looked at Jiang Mo. Jiang Mo nodded and patted his chest. That's not true. Don't think that it's just the fifth brother who sneaks out to play. In fact, I used to be like him, always sneaking out. It's just that I have a brother at home who is not as strict as him. It's just Chick. Oh, that's it. Xiner crossed her arms and raised her eyebrows. How about taking me to the places you've been to again? The places I've been to? There are too many, Jiang Mo suggested. If you don't have a direction, you probably won't be able to finish it all in a few days or nights. Young master, don't you have to do things here for a long time? I think it's enough. Xiner turned around, put her hands behind her back, and said as she walked, I want to buy some decorative things. Which direction should I go? Jewelry? Jiang Mo asked. Yes, Xiner nodded and said leisurely, I didn't go shopping properly when I came to Xiandao City last time. I was busy teaching Yu Zaigang a lesson, so I didn't even buy any good-looking bracelets I saw. It's a pity. What bracelet? Do you remember? I'll take you for a walk on the commercial street. Jiang Mo suddenly stopped. He tugged on Xiner's hand and pointed in another direction. Over there. Xiner glanced at him but didn't say anything. Jiang Mo took her arm and walked back and forth. Brother, I haven't been out shopping for a long time. I want to buy this. Chapter 139. Shrek had been training for 3 months, and it was only these days that he started to take a vacation. As soon as the holiday came, Xiao Wu happily took Tang San out for shopping. What happened some time ago was a bit too depressing, and Tang San had been depressed for a long time. But fortunately, Yu Zaigang found Yu Zaigang with the help of Yu Zhuan, and now he is there again. The Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus sect received treatment, which was considered a blessing among misfortunes. Xiao Wu had been by Tang San's side during this period, never leaving. Tang San's feelings for Xiao Wu were much deeper than before. In order not to let Xiao Wu worry about him, he also pretended to be happy and went shopping with Xiao Wu. The other people knew about the relationship between Tang San and Xiao Wu, so they didn't try to be light bulbs. They all went about their own things without talking to anyone else among them. Zhu Zhuking and Dime Yubei performed particularly obviously. I finally got a break, but the break was really short, only 1 week originally. Zhu Zhuking planned to go to Xiandao Royal Academy to find Jinrinai, but he heard that Jinrinai had never gone to school since he was expelled and reinstated, so Zhu Zhuking had no choice but to give up his vacation plan. Ning Rongrong was very curious about Zhu Zhuking's improvement speed, so this time, she caught Zhu Zhuking and asked her questions. By the way, she also invited Zhu Zhuking to the Kibao Glazed sect. Zhu Zhuking thought about what Jinrinai had said to her. The relationship between Jinrinai and Tang San has become irreparable. If it weren't for Jinrinai needing her to keep an eye on Xiao Wu and Shrek, she would too lazy to wait here. Too bad Xiandao City was not as lively at night during the day, especially in the early morning, when the cool breeze was blowing. Xiner and Jiang Mo walked through the streets and alleys. They saw the scenes in the city, and Jiang Mo felt a different feeling in his heart. When I came to the street alone in the past, I didn't think it was so fun here. Is it because it has been renovated and it has become different? Jiang Mo and Xiner stood in the courtyard on the top floor where the clock was placed in the center of Xiandao City. Xiner looked into the distance and sat by the eaves. She swung her feet and looked at the side of the clouds beginning to open. She responded to Jiang Mo by saying, "That's because you came alone before, but this time, you brought me with you, being my guide. Of course it feels different." He's not a guide. Jiang Mo walked up behind Ziner and looked at her and said, he's the one who was taken advantage of. PFFT ha 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 ha. Ziner turned around with a smile and said, why, do you feel sorry for your money? After only 2 hours of shopping, Jiang Mo's bag of gold soul coins was empty. He curled his lips and muttered, can you not feel bad? Don't look at how long I have been saving money, then what can I do? How about I pledge myself to you? Ziner joked. Jiang Mo was stunned for a moment. Before he could feel the joy, the person in front of him spoke again. You're just kidding. She withdrew her gaze, pointed to the faint colorful clouds on the horizon and said, the sky in the morning is beautiful. It would be great if I could stay at this moment forever. Well, it's indeed beautiful. Jiang Mo followed her direction and looked, but didn't understand what she meant. If you like it, you can come and see it every day. He did not forget to add, I can take time to spend time with you. Every day's scene is different. Today's scene is only today's scene. No matter what changes happen in the future, it will never be as good as today. Why? Jiang Mo asked. Because the past becomes a memory, Ziner replied with a smile. A beautiful scene left in people's memory will never disappear. In fact, in the deep memory, it will only continue to be beautified, no matter what happens in the future. No matter how beautiful the scenery is, it cannot replace its existence. Well, that makes sense. Jiang Mo thought for a moment, nodded, and agreed with Ziner's idea. Ziner turned around and glanced at him, feeling that this man was really slow-tempered and his brain was not clear yet. Okay, I've seen enough here, let's move to another place. She stood up, turned around, smiled at Jiang Mo, and the next moment, she opened her arms and fell straight down. Ziner, without saying a word, Jiang Mo jumped down with him. He caught Ziner in the air, picked her up by the waist, tapped his toes for airflow, and soon found a hidden alley where no one could see him and dropped him down. What are you doing? He asked with a frown. Looking angry, Ziner hugged his neck and smiled. Jiang Mo, you seem to have forgotten that I am a soul master with the strength of a soul saint. If I jump from that height, I can land safely on my own. Why are you so nervous? Don't you like me? Like? Jiang Mo's eyes widened, and his heart suddenly jumped. Ziner came close to his chest and couldn't help but laugh. Look, your heart has already given the answer. Nonsense. After being exposed, Jiang Mo immediately put Ziner down. His cheeks turned slightly red, and he couldn't restrain his inner restlessness. He seemed to really like this guy. Pursing his lips, Jiang Mo's mind had already leapt forward. He looked at Ziner's smiling face and liked it very much, but reason told him that he was being teased by Ziner now. In order to save the face he had not lost, he quickly distanced himself from Ziner, frowned and said seriously, don't talk nonsense, be careful, I won't care about you, will you ignore me? Ziner asked, my young master knows that I am with you. If you ignore me and lose me, do you think my young master will annoy you to death? You? Jiang Mo suddenly choked on his words. This was the first time he discovered that Ziner was so talkative. Seeing Jiang Mo defeated, Ziner couldn't stop smiling, but as there is a limit to everything, Jin Renayu taught her a word, play hard to get. If you take the initiative first and then act coldly, you will be able to control the fool. Seeing Jiang Mo's behavior just now, Ziner was probably sure that he must have been tempted, but he didn't admit it. Narrowing her eyes slightly, Ziner had no intention of catching the demon. She waved her hand, put away her smile and said, okay, I won't tease you anymore. Let's go to the market. I have something to think about. Purchase. Ziner's sudden change made Jiang Mo feel empty in his heart. He was silent for a while and then followed Ziner's footsteps. The two of them went to the market together. It was almost noon, and there were many people walking in the market. Ziner was walking through the crowd, walking very fast. As long as Jiang Mo was distracted, it would be easy to lose her direction. For this reason, he also reminded Ziner not to wander around. Ziner just liked to play tricks on him. From time to time he would pop up from behind, and from time to time he would appear at another intersection, which made Jiang Mo feel a little tired. I want to eat candied haws on a stick. Go buy it. We'll meet at the previous intersection, I don't know when. Ziner suddenly rushed to Jiang Mo. She reached out and poked Jiang Mo. Jiang Mo twisted his mouth and said, no, you really treat me as your follower. Well, what else? Ziner looked at him eagerly. Jiang Mo was a little embarrassed to see it. He raised his hand and flicked Ziner's forehead and said, okay, I'll buy it for you. Don't run around, I know, it's long-winded. Ziner said, you go and come back quickly. I'll go shopping over there for a while. We'll meet at that intersection later. If you find it's long-winded, you have to bear with it. Okay, go ahead and go, Xiner urged. Jiang Mo shrugged, but didn't say anything. He turned around and quickly disappeared into the crowd. Xiner looked at his leaving figure, smiled, then turned around and walked in the opposite direction to Jiang Mo. Just now when she was walking through the crowd, she discovered something that was particularly suitable for subduing the demon. In order to give the subdued demon a surprise, she moved the person away. According to her memory, Xiner went to a small vendor's stall. She pointed to the miniature version of the demon-conquering pestle placed on the stall and asked, "Boss, how much does this cost?" 10 copper soul coins. I bought them. Before the boss could say anything, a female voice came from behind Xiner. Xiner turned around subconsciously. The person who came was a woman with long black and blue hair, wearing a uniform. Behind the woman was a boy with short black hair and a boy with a tie. The girl with scorpion braids had bright eyes. Just looking at each other, Xiner realized that the other girl was a soul beast like herself. I came first, she said lightly and turned her gaze to the woman in front of the girl. The woman snorted lightly, without saying anything to Xiner, and directly threw out a bag of copper soul coins to the boss. Just because you come first doesn't mean you can buy it first. I bought this thing. The boss took the bag of copper soul coins, opened it, and saw that it was full of 10 copper soul coins. He was about to accept it immediately. Unexpectedly, Xiner slapped 10 gold soul coins on the table in front of the boss. As soon as he saw it, he immediately threw away the bag thrown by the woman, stared at the golden soul coin under Xiner's hand and said, "This lady came first. Logically speaking, this pestle should belong to this lady. You are blind to money." The boss's move obviously made the girl unhappy. She frowned at the boss and said, "Obviously we paid first. That is indeed what this young lady asked first. The boss only has 10 gold soul coins in his eyes at this time. He doesn't care about the others. It's just 10 copper soul coins. How can it be compared with a gold soul coins? Any fool knows which one to choose." The girl was angry. The boy beside her grabbed her hand and said, "Xiao Wu, don't be impulsive, Xiao Wu." Xiner suddenly turned to look at the girl. She deliberately exuded the aura of being a spirit beast. Xiao Wu looked at her and was stunned. You, she was slightly surprised. "What are you doing?" Xiner smiled softly and turned her head. An imperceptible green breath emitted from her pupils, and the green breath entered the bag of copper soul coins thrown out by the woman just now. "Okay, boss, please wrap it up for me." Xiner raised her eyes and looked at the boss with a smile, but did not respond to Xiao Wu's surprise. She ordered the boss, and he quickly packed the things. Passed it to Xiner. Xiner took it, leaving 10 gold soul coins behind, and walked straight forward, with no intention of dealing with Xiao Wu and the other. Xiao Wu looked at her and couldn't help shouting, "Stop!" on Xiner. She couldn't feel the aura of the complete soul beast, which meant that Xiner was split. "What are you doing?" Xiner turned around. "Do I know you?" As both soul beasts, Xiao Wu could clearly sense that Xiner's cultivation was inferior to hers. She didn't understand why a soul beast that was not 10 years old could successfully transform. "Xiao Wu, do you know her?" Tang San noticed Xiao Wu's unusual behavior. He looked at Xiner and then at Xiao Wu. A little confused Liu Erlong also looked at Xiner, but the look she cast was not friendly. If it weren't for the fact that she didn't bring so much money when she went out today, Xiner wouldn't have been so arrogant just now. However, after taking a serious look at Xiner, she suddenly felt that this woman's eyes seemed to be similar to the green vines she had seen in the Sunset Forest. Is that what a martial spirit is? Xiao Wu hesitated. It was not easy to reveal her identity in public. She pursed her lips, feeling really strange about Xiner's situation. Seeing that she couldn't explain it, Xiner smiled, turned around, and stopped talking to them. Xiao Wu wanted to catch up, but Tang San held her back. "Xiao Wu," Tang San said worriedly, "what's wrong?" He rarely saw Xiao Wu showing such an expression. "Who is that woman, brother?" "It's okay." Xiao Wu shook her head, not telling the truth. Liu Erlong was silent. She always felt that the woman was a bit familiar. "Teacher Erlong, do you know her?" Tang San turned his head and happened to see Liu Erlong thinking about something, so he couldn't help but ask. Liu Erlong said and said uncertainly, "She is a bit like the green vine that attacked me and Boss Fu in the Sunset Forest." "What?" Tang San frowned. "Is it her?" Xiao Wu also looked at Liu Erlong. "Mom, I'm not sure." Liu Erlong shook his head, but Xiaogang mentioned it when he could still speak. He was taken away by a little girl with green hair. The little girl's eyes were just like the one just now. Like a woman, she is a 3-petaled flower with green eyes, Tang San was silent, with murderous intent hidden in his eyes. Was it that woman who hurt the teacher? Liu Erlong looked away. Okay, maybe it's just a coincidence. Xiao Wu, Xiao San, let's go back as soon as possible after we finish shopping. Xiao Gang is still waiting for us at home. Okay, Xiao Wu and Tang San responded. After strolling around the market for a while, the three of them went back to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. Xiner watched the three of them in the dark. The aura of the soul beast on Xiao Wu's body, combined with the past mentioned by Jinri to her, she could probably determine that the boy next to Xiao Wu should be her mortal enemy Tang Hao. His son, Tang San. According to Jinri, Tang San now spends most of his time in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect, with Yu Xiao Gang, whom she had taught him a lesson before. So, if they go back with a bag with her breath, the half-dead Yu Xiao Gang just now, you have to suffer. Xiner, who was in the deep alley, smiled softly. She was about to turn around and leave. Suddenly, a hand stretched out from behind her. Chapter 140. The fox picked up outside Haoshan Sect. Help! The long hand grabbed Xiner's clothes. Xiner subconsciously shook the person away and opened the distance between herself and the owner of the hand. Who is it? She frowned and looked at the man who fell to the ground. She is a ragged woman. The woman's face was dirty and her skin was bronze. The word beggar was what Xiner immediately thought of. Did she just call for help? Xiner looked at her carefully. Who are you? The woman trembled, as if she was afraid of something. She rushed towards Xiner, grabbed her skirt and said, Miss, save me, save me. Xiner frowned slightly and wanted to get rid of the woman, but when she saw her clear eyes, she couldn't bear it. What's going on? She knelt down and pulled the woman up. The woman hid behind Xiner and said in fear, someone is killing people inside. Kill someone. Xiner looked into the alley. It was pitch black and she couldn't see anything, even though it was daytime. Killing people in public, is this world so unfair? Xiner muttered a few words in a low voice, and suddenly a few green vines sprouted from the ground. The woman was shocked when she saw this. You are a soul master? She shivered. That's right. Xiner glanced at her and realized that this woman seemed to be afraid of her. The murderer was a soul master? She asked. Yes, the woman replied, pursed her lips, and added, they not only kill people, they also eat people. What? Xiner raised her eyebrows. Eating people? What do you mean? That's right, the woman seemed to have remembered something terrible. Her eyes widened and her body trembled. Then she screamed and ran out of the alley. Xiner wanted to hold her, but she couldn't. In vain, he could only watch the woman run away. There were many pedestrians outside, so it was impossible for her to really chase the beggar. Turning her eyes to the depths of the alley, Xiner frowned and wanted to investigate. At this time, the demon she had agreed with to conquer suddenly appeared behind her and patted her shoulder. Xin. Before she finished speaking, Xiner's eyes flashed, and she immediately reached out to grab Jiang Mo's hand, and gave him a violent throw over the shoulder. Xiner, you committed murder. Jiang Mo was thrown to the ground hard, and a sharp stinging sensation came from his back and buttocks. He screamed, and his face looked extremely bad. It was also when Jiang Mo made a sound that Xiner realized that she had accidentally injured one of her own. No. You walked without making any sound, and you suddenly appeared behind me. Xiner quickly went to help Jiang Mo up. Jiang Mo supported his waist and said angrily, I think you did it on purpose. No way. I didn't mean it. Don't talk nonsense. Xiner argued, I really didn't mean it. I was thinking about something just now and didn't pay attention. Moreover, you did make no sound when walking. This is mine. Respond to the enemy. Reaction to the enemy. Am I the enemy? Jiang Mo persisted, I think you're just seeking revenge. What does private revenge mean? I have only heard of public revenge. Xiner patted the dust behind Jiang Mo. Besides, the matter has already happened, so there is no point in dwelling on it. Jiang Mo, you can feel it. Do you have murderous intent? Xiner pointed to the depths of the alley and asked, in there? Jiang Mo glanced at it. No, Xiner, just now a girl said that there are soul masters inside who are killing and eating people. Killing and eating people. Jiang Mo listened and felt it carefully, but didn't find anything wrong. No, have you been deceived? Suddenly, Jiang Mo stretched out his hand and touched Xiner's waist. Xiner's eyes opened, she clenched her fists, and subconsciously punched Jiang Mo. Bang! With a sound, the fist hit Jiang Mo's nose. Jiang Mo was knocked back several steps, and warm liquid flowed from his nose. Xin, or Heaven Dao Palace. At this time, Jin Renai and the others had entered the prince's palace. Zhu King was a little surprised to see King Lun coming with Jin Renai and the others. Isn't it just a gift of a fox? Why do so many people come? In the palace, Zhu King sat in front of the tea table. He arranged for several people to sit down at the square table. Guangling and King Lun sat on one side alone, Jin Renai and Jiayu Lan sat on the other side, and Zhu King and Jin Renai sat face to face. After sitting down, King Lun released a fiery red little fox from the soul guide. It was a newborn cub, exuding heat and blazing flames. Its eyes were also fiery red, and its eyes were spinning. It's full of spirit. It's not like I won't go back and forth when I have something to do later, Jin Renai said, taking out a fairy grass from her pocket and handing it to Zhu King. This fairy grass is what I got from it. Is cultivated by the two-color flame in the body. After absorbing it, you don't have to worry about the fire on this fox's body hurting you. Well, thank you, Zhu King responded and accepted the fairy grass. He glanced at the fox on the table and said, this fox is so special. Grandpa King Lun, where did you catch it from? Outside the Haoshan sect, King Lun replied lightly. Outside the Haoshan sect, Zhu King, you went to the Haoshan sect. That happened 3 months ago, Jin Renai explained. At that time, I didn't know that Grandpa King Lun picked up this little guy. He was always with me, and I didn't know when he picked it up. King Lun was speechless. Julin said, before going up the mountain. Zhu King glanced at them and said nothing else. What does this little guy eat? He asked. Raw meat, King Lun replied, or grass will do. Grass, Zhu King, isn't the fox a carnivore? Can it eat grass? Yes, King Lun's words are always so simple and clear. When you are hungry, you will naturally eat. It's really hard for you. Zhu King looked at the little fox. If Grandpa King Lun was raising the baby, would he raise the baby to death? Thinking like this, Zhu King suddenly asked, does it have a name? Yes, King Lun said, it's called Psyking. Oh, Vixen. No, sir, why does a man have to be called such a feminine name? Zhu King was a little confused. Meow. At this time, Yai, who was sleeping in Jiayu Lan's arms, suddenly woke up. She poked her head out of Jiayu Lan's arms, stretched out her short hands and lay on the table, looking at the little fox with flames all over its body. Seriously, meow meow. Yai seemed to be saying hello. When the little fox heard Yai's voice, he turned to look at the pure white kitten. It raised its paws and greeted her, as if they knew her. Jin Renai has confirmed that the two little pets are spiritual, so their behavior is not strange in her eyes. Where are you going next? Chapter 141. Meeting Liu Tian again. Jiayu Lan is at level, so they are going to the Star Dou Forest later. As for me, I am going back to the Xiandao Royal Academy to meet someone, and then I will meet up with Grandpa Jiangmo and the others. Jin Renai put her planning. To tell the truth, she glanced at Jiayu Lan subconsciously, always feeling that Jiayu Lan's soul power level moved along with hers. Not long after she was promoted to level, Jiayu Lan was promoted to level. This speed was abnormal. Without eating fairy grass, Jin Renai also observed Jiulan for a period of time and found that her soul power was still changing even if she was not practicing. From this, she concluded that Jiayu Lan's soul power level was most likely synchronized with hers. As for why this was the case, she thought it had something to do with the petals of the 9-petal fairy lotus at that time, but that petal was produced by Jiayu Zioner, and Jin Renai couldn't figure out why Jiayu Lan was bound to her. For Jiulan's soul ring, just ask the third brother to take her there. Yuir, I will accompany you to the Xiandao Royal Academy. It was just a hunt for the fourth ring, and Guangling felt that there was no need for him and King Lun to accompany him, so he immediately put forward his own ideas. I will go to find you with Grandpa Jiangmo. At that time, Jin Renai declined Guangling's proposal. She said, I can go to Xiandao Royal Academy alone. You are such a strong person. If you go in with me, well, others may not know what they think. I have private matters to attend to, so you should accompany Jiulan to hunt the soul beast. I don't want to go, Guangling said bluntly. He crossed his arms and hummed softly. I can hide my breath. It's not a big deal. Besides, I don't worry about you going alone. What's the worry? I'm not going to fight. When she went to Xiandao Royal Academy this time, she mainly went to see Du Yan, and asked Yu Xianheng about the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. In addition, she hadn't seen him for a long time. After going to Cabello Glazed sect, she still had to go to Cabello Glazed sect to ask Chen Xin about the origin of Julian's sword. There are few things to do, but they are complicated. She still prefers to do it alone. Seeing Jin Renai's insistence on not taking him with him this time, Guangling didn't force him. He curled his lips and said nonchalantly, Okay, you have the final say. Yes, Jin Renai nodded and turned to look at Zuking. Sister Zuir, there are a lot of things. I have to deal with them as soon as possible. I won't stay here any longer. This fox is still a cub. Take good care of it. It will be of great use. Okay, I understand. Zuking smiled slightly and stood up. I'll see you off. Yes, Jin Renai left first. She said goodbye to Guangling and the others, and then disappeared into the Xiandao Palace. After Jin Renai left, Guangling and Qinglun didn't stay here much longer in Zuking. It was not good to stay for a long time, so the three of them left. After a while Zuking watched them leave, his eyes slightly lowered, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Xiandao Royal Academy. Quickly arriving at the entrance of the college, Jin Renai stopped. She looked up at the tall plaque and smiled. I haven't seen you for 3 months, but I'm not unfamiliar at all. Jin Renai walked straight into the college. At this time, the students in the college were still in class. Jin Renai stepped up the stairs and went straight to the Xiandao level. Class A classroom. It is already afternoon, and almost all classes in Class A are left with theoretical classes. The teacher is teaching theoretical knowledge on the stage. The students in the audience are divided into several groups to listen to the class. Some are listening carefully, some are sleeping, and some are watching other things. Those who read, and those who play and fool around. In short, they are still exactly the same as when Jin Renai was here. Jin Renai glanced around the room outside the classroom. Du Guyan and Yu Xianheng were still sitting at the same table. Next to Yi Lingling, her seat was still reserved. No one occupied the seat. She smashed her mouth and spoke through the glass. I saw my own face. Speaking of which, my face has changed so much. Can Sister Yanzi and the others still recognize me? Jin Renai muttered a few words. At this time, someone suddenly patted her back. Jin Renai subconsciously raised her hand from her waist. Suddenly she drew out the dagger and pointed it straight at the neck of the person who slapped her on the back. Oh. It's really you. Sister Yue. Listening to the familiar voice and looking at the familiar face in front of her, Jin Renai's mind flashed to the person she and Guangling had thrown into the Xiandao Great Soul Fighting Arena. The appearance of the great wronged, Liu Tian. It's you. Perhaps because she was a little sorry, Jin Renai put away the dagger. She looked Liu Tian up and down, and she was a little curious as to why he appeared here. Liu Tian seemed to see through Jin Renai's thoughts, and he explained with a smile, I enrolled in Xiandao Royal Academy, and I originally wanted to come to you, but who knew that since that competition, you have not come to school. I thought you would never come again and planned to drop out of school. Jin Renai raised her eyebrows. It's so hard to get admitted, but you just quit when you say you want to. Of course, Liu Tian said, I only strive for my own goals. The reason why I enrolled in Xiandao Royal Academy is because of you. If you are gone, what is the point of me being here? Oh, are you here after her? Jin Renai. Then do you know why I'm not here? You were ordered to drop out of school before, maybe because of something, but later your degree was reinstated, but you didn't come to school. I guess you had a conflict with the Xiandao royal family, said the last sentence. At this time, Liu Tian deliberately lowered his voice, as if he was afraid that others would hear him. Jin Renai looked at him and shook her head. No, it's not because of this. What's that for? Liu Tian asked. Jin Renai replied seriously, because I graduated. Huh? Liu Tian twitched the corner of his mouth. Don't tease me. If you graduate, your name will be on the graduation book. And you just enrolled in school not long ago. How could you graduate? You didn't even take the graduation exam. Who said I didn't participate? Jin Renai, let me tell you secretly, I am already level 42. What? Liu Tian was shocked. No. Sister Yue. Are you kidding me? Level 42. How long has it been and you are already level 42? Your soul power has taken hormones, right? I haven't taken hormones, but I am indeed level 42. Do you think I have graduated? Jin Renai asked. Level 42. I must have graduated, Liu Tian said without hesitation. That's it. Jin Renai blinked and laughed out loud. Within a minute of seriousness. Sister Yue. Liu Tian felt that he had been deceived. He suddenly made a disdainful expression and said with a hint of contempt in his tone, I really believed it just now. I know you really believe it. Jin Renai waved her hand, but I didn't lie to you either. I came back this time just to attend the graduation ceremony. Yue. End of this chapter. Chapter 142. There is a follower. While talking to Liu Tian, the classes in the classroom were also finished. Du Guyan, who was staying in the classroom, looked towards the window out of nowhere, and at a glance, he saw a girl who looked somewhat similar to Jin Renai. That girl was much more mature than Jin Renai. Du Yuyan was slightly stunned and couldn't help but pat Yu Xianheng on the shoulder. Xianheng, look at it, is that you? Where? Yu Xianheng followed Du Yuyan's direction and looked slightly surprised when he saw Jin Renai. Yu, he shouted subconsciously, Yu? Where is it? Yu Feng heard Yu Xianheng's soft call. He suddenly raised his head while still sleeping and looked around. Where's Yu? There. Yi Lingling also saw the girl standing outside a window talking to Liu Tian. She motioned Yu Feng to look, and Yu Feng turned his head and was stunned. She is Yu. Jin Renai's appearance has changed a lot, and since they have not seen each other since the last separation, Du Yuyan and the others are not sure whether that girl is Jin Renai. Go out and have a look, Yu Xianheng suggested. Okay, Du Yuyan nodded, and several people stood up one after another. Yu Feng rushed at the front. He walked out of the teacher's door, looked at Jin Renai's back and shouted, Yu. Jin Renai turned around and happened to see her friends whom she had not seen for a long time. At this time, she realized that the get out of class was over inside the teacher, Sister Yanzi, Brother Xianheng, Sister Lingling, Yu Feng. She smiled at them and said, I'm back, it's really Yu. Yu Feng was extremely surprised. He quickly ran towards Jin Renai and stretched out his hand to give her a big bear hug. Who are you? Stay away from my sister Yu. Liu Tian was behind Jin Renai. Before Jin Renai could dodge, he pulled Jin Renai behind him. He originally wanted to use his soul power to directly blast Yu Feng away, but he didn't know that Yu Feng's soul power level was about the same as him. Ben Zhen couldn't open it, and finally, Yu Feng jumped on him, and the two fell to the ground with a plop. Jin Renai immediately walked away to prevent herself from being accidentally injured. I'll go. What the hell are you? Liu Tian was pinned down by Yu Feng, who laid down like a frog. The posture of the two of them looked a bit unsightly. Yu Xianheng shook his head speechlessly and ignored Yu Feng. Du Yuyan and the others walked directly towards Jin Renai. Yu, I haven't seen you in April. You have changed a lot, haha, I think it's pretty big too, Jin Renai responded, comparing heights with Du Yuyan. Now I'm not that far behind you. Are you taking hormones? Du Yuyan joked. Well, I am indeed taking hormones, Jin Renai replied seriously. Du Yuyan smiled, frowned, and patted her hand. Don't be poor, let's go to the cafeteria, it's okay to stand and talk here. Jin Renai nodded, and they went to the cafeteria together. Of course, this included Liu Tian, who was knocked down by Yu Feng just now. It wasn't time to eat yet, and there weren't many people in the cafeteria. Du Yuyan found a quiet place to sit down, and several other people also sat down one after another. Jin Renai sat next to Du Yuyan, and Yi Lingling sat down on the other side of Jin Renai. As for the other people, they just found a place to sit. Yu, where have you been these past 4 months? How could such a big change happen? Don't tell me that you really took hormones. I don't believe it. As soon as Du Yuyan sat down, he began to ask Jin Renai these days what happened in the month. In fact, she felt that something was wrong with Jin Renai from the very beginning, and with some things Du Yubo told her, she suspected that Jin Renai was just looking at Xiao, or that Jin Renai used some kind of magic. It made her look small. Originally, she planned to ask Jin Renai when school started, but she didn't know that Jin Renai never came to school after school started, so she had no choice but to shelve the matter. I went to awaken my martial spirit, Jin Renai said seriously. My martial spirit can undergo a second awakening. After the second awakening, the quality of the martial spirit will be greatly improved, so it took me a while. In addition, the change is also due to the change of martial soul, so that's it. Du Yuyan and Yu Xianheng looked at each other. Although this explanation sounds ridiculous, Jin Renai has indeed changed a lot. Perhaps this can be explained. Are you still going to leave this time? Yi Lingling asked aloud. Jin Renai looked at her and said, let's go. Why? This was what Yu Feng wanted to ask. Who knew that Liu Tian beside him was speaking really fast? As soon as he opened his mouth, Liu Tian already asked the question. For this reason, Yu Feng couldn't help but glare at Liu Tian. Our team members are talking among themselves. Why are you interrupting? Sister Yue is my friend. What can't I ask? Liu Tian replied. Yu Feng was suddenly speechless. Du Yuyan glanced at Yu Feng and said, little madman, stop talking. Yu Feng, shut up. I came back this time mainly to attend the graduation ceremony, Jin Renai said. My soul power level has been raised to level 42. If I stay here anymore, there will be no room for improvement, so I want to go out and practice. I'll go too. Yu Feng raised his hand. I'm about to graduate too. Where are you going? You still have a long time before graduation. Okay, Yu Lingling interrupted him ruthlessly. Lingling, please don't tear me down. Okay, then don't make a show of yourself. Shut up, Yu Feng. Why do you know how to quarrel with him one by one? Level 42. Yu, are you serious? Du Yuyan looked at Jinrinayu and said in surprise, only 4 months have passed, and Jinrinayu has actually been promoted to level 42. Isn't this speed a bit too fast? Of course I am serious, Jinrinayu replied, turning to look at Yu Xianheng. By the way, brother Xianheng, I need your help with something. What's the matter? Yu Xianheng was also surprised by the speed at which Jinrinayu's soul power level increased. He frowned slightly and wondered what the origin of his sister this month was. She was banned by Emperor Zhu Yi and was withdrawn overnight. The ban and its series of operations were unprecedented. Did she have any other connection with the Xiandao royal family? I heard that Tang San has been staying in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect recently. I have something to do with him, but I can't directly enter the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, so there is no need for Jinrinayu to say the next words. Yu Tianheng naturally understood. He nodded, took out a token from his pocket and handed it to Jinrinayu. This is the direct token of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. With this, you can enter the sect directly. No one will stop you, but you here. I heard that uncle was injured by you. Is this true? Really? Jinrinayu admitted, not intending to hide it. She tilted her head and said, I am the second young lady of Wuhan Palace. You should know about this, right? He stole the money from Wuhan Palace. It's really hateful to use knowledge to form your own theories, so I gave him a small lesson, but as for what he becomes, it has nothing to do with me. Jinrinayu's expression was indifferent, as if she was talking about something insignificant. Yu Xianheng looked at her with mixed feelings in his heart, and he didn't know what to say. For a moment he actually didn't believe what Liu Erlong said when he brought Tang San and Yu Xiaogang back to the sect, but Yu Xiaogang was his uncle after all, and it was impossible for him to help him when he was injured like that. Jinrinayu spoke, but one thing was that he really didn't understand why Liu Erlong had to be with Yu Xiaogang. One is his uncle and the other is his cousin. Isn't this distance a bit too close? He didn't understand it, couldn't understand it at all. Maybe because Yu Xiaogang was kicked out of the sect very early, Yu Xianheng didn't have much affection for him, so he didn't say much about Yu Xiaogang's injury. Liu Erlong said. He just took it as a joke. After getting the direct token in Yu Xianheng's hand, Jinrinayu talked to Du Yuyan alone for a while. She took out a piece of fairy grass and handed it to Du Yuyan, asking her to absorb it well, and then left the Sky Dao Royal Academy, and after learning that Jinrinayu had left, Liu Yuan immediately chased him out. He hurriedly handed the withdrawal application to Yu Feng and asked Yu Feng to help submit it, and he followed Jinrinayu. Yu Feng looked at Liu Xianheng's retreating back and couldn't help but sigh. This person is Yu's true fan. He chased him from the Xiandao Great Soul Fighting Arena to the Xiandao Royal Academy, and now he is chasing him to other places. It's really shocking. People admire you endlessly. Far away Jinrinayu noticed Liu Yuan's following. She stopped flying and looked at Liu Yuan, who was running wildly below her. Why are you following me? She frowned. I want to follow you to do big things, Liu Yuan shouted loudly from below. The two looked at each other in the air. Liu Yuan's face was full of enthusiasm, just like when they first met. He had glanced at each other for 1,000 years, but she was indifferent. I don't want to take you with me, Jinrinayu refused ruthlessly. Stop following me. If you follow me again, I will take action against you. It's not impossible to have a fight. Sister Yu, I haven't fought with you for a long time, and you said you are level 42. What is your 4th soul skill? I want to see your 4th soul skill. Liu Yuan was unyielding and had no intention of leaving. There was a look of admiration in his eyes. Jinrinayu frowned slightly. She never thought that she would be relied on by such a person. Her flying speed is no longer slow, not to mention that she left before Liu Yuan, and this guy can catch up with her without flying skills and attached soul bones. It is impossible to think that it is so easy. Get rid of him. If you don't want to get rid of him, you can't really let him follow you, right? Tisk. Trouble. Jinrinayu summoned the big eye bow. She raised her hand to pull the bow, and a thin and long ice arrow appeared on the bow. She pointed the arrow of the ice arrow at Liu Tian. Squinting slightly, don't follow me anymore, Follow me again and I will shit you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143. A strong aura came from the sky, and after a while, 4 soul rings that beat up and down rose from the soles of Jinrinyu's feet. Black, 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 black. This is different from Jinrinyu's soul ring configuration that Liu Tian saw before. The age of the soul ring has been increased. Liu Tian was shocked. He opened his eyes wide and looked at the soul ring on the soles of Jinrinyu's feet. It's really 4 black rings. He was ecstatic. Sister Yue, have you taken any assessment? Your soul ring life has increased so much compared to before. No wonder you can increase it from level 35 to level 42 in 4 months. It's amazing, it's really awesome. Liu Tian not only didn't mean to be afraid, but also praised Jinrinyu. Jinrinyu frowned and thought, no, there must be something wrong with this person's brain. His life is almost in danger, and he still wants to what about praising others. Let's do this, Sister Yue, let's have a fight. If I beat you, you can take me with you, okay? Seeing that Jinrinyu had no intention of wavering, Liu Tian proposed something it was not a wise suggestion. He looked at Jinrinyu and shouted loudly. The distance between the two of them was too far. Perhaps he was afraid that Jinrinyu couldn't hear him, so his voice almost became hoarse. Jinrinyu looked at him, challenged her. Humph! Jinrinyu raised the corner of her mouth slightly. Okay, it's settled. After saying this, she stepped down and summoned the 9-lian sword. The air vibrated, and a red light descended from the sky, shocking the world. Liu Tian was surprised by this. He looked at the red light and wanted to dodge, but his body seemed to be frozen, unable to move at all. He could only watch the red light rushing towards him. A sense of powerlessness filled Liu Tian's heart. He never expected Jinrinyu to become so strong. At this moment, he was so suppressed that he couldn't even release his martial spirit, let alone receive this move. It was visible to the naked eye. Liu Tian had no ability to take the Jiulian sword. Jinrinyu stopped when the tip of the sword was about to pierce into Liu Tian's head. Boom! The strong wind blew Liu Tian's short hair, and he closed his eyes subconsciously, but the pain did not come over him. The sound of wind around him faded, and then he slowly opened his eyes. The side in front of him was completely blank, with no trace of Jinrinyu. Only a trace of soul power remained after getting rid of Liu Tian. Jinrinyu rushed to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. Originally, she was going to meet up with Zhang Mo and the others, but due to Liu Tian's hot pursuit, she didn't want to hurt him, so she had to temporarily give up the idea of meeting up and go to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect by herself. First, with a warrant given by Yu Shai and Heng, everything went smoothly. Jinrinyu put on a mask and walked in the sect. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect is an old dragon vein site, covering a vast area, and there are 9 peaks in the sect. It may not be that simple to find the whereabouts of Tang San and the others. After all, Jinrinyu doesn't know where Liu Erlong was placed. Which mountain are you in? She was exploring around the sect. Half an hour later, the little rabbit's voice suddenly came to her ears. Third brother, we finally have a holiday. Can't we go out and play for a while? Xiao Wu, the teacher needs someone to take care of him. It's too hard for teacher Erlong alone. We have to help. Okay then. The footsteps were getting closer and closer. Jinrinyu hid sideways behind the rockery. She looked through the gap in the direction of the sound. As expected, Xiao Wu and Tang San walked out of the blind spot side by side. Tang San touched it. Xiao Wu was flattered. Then she thought of something again. She was a little worried and said, Brother, I always have an ominous premonition. Chapter 144. I hate them from the bottom of my heart. What's wrong? Tang San asked aloud. Why do you say that? Ever since seeing Xiner, Xiao Wu's mood has not been quite right. Tang San was thoughtful and naturally noticed this, but he asked Xiao Wu and Xiao Wu said that she and Xiner didn't know each other. Since if you don't know me, why do you feel this way? Tang San felt that Xiao Wu was hiding something, but he couldn't ask more questions. After all, he wasn't someone who liked to ask about other people's personal affairs, even if that person was his sister. Looking at Tang San, Xiao Wu was a little confused. She bit her lip and said a little uncertainly, Brother, I always feel that the woman just now has something to do with the injury on the master's body. Is it related to the injury on the teacher's body? Tang San frowned slightly. The injury on the teacher's body was caused by Jinrinyu. How could it be related to that woman? Brother, have you forgotten that the master has many kinds of injuries, old and new, and they are not caused by one person? And I think that the master was injured by a soul beast later, not a soul master, Wu said softly, but she couldn't make it too obvious. What she was sure of was that Liu Erlong's previous injuries must have been caused by the spirit beast, but Yu Xiaogang's. She wasn't sure at first, until she met Xiner. She noticed a different kind of aura on Xiner's body. The aura was consistent with the aura of the soul beast that had hurt Liu Erlong. It was also close to the aura left on Yu Xiaogang's body. If it weren't for the fact that the other party also noticed that she was as a soul beast, she would expose Xiner on the spot and would never let anyone leave easily. Tang San listened to what Xiao Wu said and didn't say anything. He remained silent and pursed his lips. He didn't doubt why Xiao Wu said such words. Jinren Niu is not the Xiao before. She is thinking meticulous and ruthless. It is not unusual to use soul beasts to hurt teachers, but Xiao Wu, the woman we met today, isn't she a human? Now Tang San naturally didn't know that spirit beasts could transform, and he didn't even know that the little rabbit in front of him was the transformation of a 10-year-old spirit beast. Xiao Wu hesitated for a while, thinking about whether he should tell Tang San regarding the soul beast's transformation. Tang San saw that she was hesitant to speak and did not continue to ask. He smiled slightly, touched Xiao Wu's head and said, "Okay Xiao Wu, no matter whether that woman is the one who hurt a teacher or not, I will definitely find out later. If she is, I won't let her go easily." Xiao Wu nodded, but there was a trace of worry in her eyes, and she didn't know what she was thinking. Xiner is not as old as she is, and she knows this in her heart, but how on earth does a soul beast with less than 10 years of cultivation transform into human form? Xiao Wu felt very strange in the Star Forest. She had never seen a soul beast with the aura of Xiner. Did Xiner come from the Sunset Forest? Okay, Xiao Wu, be happy. No matter what, I will protect you and won't let you get hurt. Regarding Jinren Niu, please don't get involved and investigate. Her current identity is not just a martial arts second miss of the Soul Palace. We won't get anything good if we go head-to-head with her, not to mention, my father mentioned Tang Hao. Tang San felt sour in his heart. His father seemed to have abandoned him once again according to Tang Yue. Jinren Niu has an inseparable relationship with the Xiandao royal family, and this relationship directly affects Emperor Zui. This shows that she is definitely not simple. To be on the safe side, Tang Yue suggested that Tang San should be strong before becoming stronger. It's best not to conflict with Jinren Niu again. Although Xionizi is not very strong, the person behind her is too strong. There is no benefit in macing with her. Third brother, I will always be by your side. Xiao Wu comforted her. Yes. Thank you, Xiao Wu, Tang San responded, and the two of them looked at each other and smiled. When their love became stronger, they hugged each other, and then went to Yu Xiaogang's residence together. Jinren Niu listened to a lot of nonsense and thought it was annoying to her eyes and ears. She followed Tang San Xiao to the place where Yu Xiaogang was. When she arrived at the door, she felt that there seemed to be a familiar force inside. Echoing the soul power in her body, Xiner, Jinren Niu frowned slightly and found a good branch to sit on where she could enjoy the panoramic view. She activated her soul power and seduced the power belonging to Xiner in the yard. The courtyard is full of flowers in spring. It is already sunset, and the golden afterglow falls on the courtyard. In the yard, Yu Xiaogang was lying on the elderly chair, with the corners of his mouth crooked and drooling from time to time. He looked miserable. Jinren Niu looked at him and laughed unkindly, her good qualities almost disappearing with laughter. She obviously only crippled Yu Xiaogang. Yu Xiaogang's physical condition was so poor that he even suffered a stroke. It's true that evil people have their own destiny and deserve it too, damn scumbag. A few months ago, Tang San went to the Eye of Ice and Fire. He didn't gain much and was injured. But fortunately, he also got some rare herbs. He took those herbs and used them to treat his injuries. Some of it was left for Yu Xiaogang to treat his injuries. With day after day of treatment, Yu Xiaogang got a little better. At least he didn't seem to be as convulsive at first, but what Tang San didn't know was that those herbs were left by Jinren Niu, and most of them were nourished by her soul power. For ordinary people, the efficacy of the medicine was not that good, but for soul beasts, eating it still has some effect. Just like Xiao Wu, she liked those herbs very much, but it was a pity that most of them needed to be used to treat Yu Xiaogang, otherwise she would just eat them. Teacher, how are you feeling recently? Tang San squatted beside Yu Xiaogang and said with concern. He looked at Yu Xiaogang's condition and always felt that something was strange, but he couldn't tell what it was, so he had to ask the person involved. Yu Xiaogang's feeling Yu Xiaogang couldn't make a sound now. He could only tilt his mouth and babble. Most people really couldn't understand what he was saying. Liu Erlong walked out of the kitchen with the fried medicine. She said as she walked, Xiaogang can speak some simple words recently, but I don't know why, but today he has changed again. I think it may be because of the wind. Caught by the wind, Tang San frowned and looked at Yu Xiaogang, and suddenly found that Yu Xiaogang's eyes had been staring at the money bag around Liu Erlong's waist. He looked at Liu Erlong, a little confused, and said, "Teacher Erlong, does your wallet have any special meaning? Money bag?" "No." Liu Erlong came to Tang San with the medicine. She handed the medicine to Tang San and took off her money bag. "This is just an ordinary cloth bag," but Yu Xiaogang's eyes kept following the money bag, and he seemed to have a big reaction as he babbled. When Tang San saw this, he always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't see what was wrong. The wallet in Liu Erlong's hand is indeed an ordinary cloth bag, nothing special, but why does Yu Xiaogang keep staring at this cloth bag? Tang San was deeply puzzled. Xiao Wu walked to Liu Erlong and smelled the cloth bag. Her eyes moved slightly, as if she noticed something was wrong. "Mom, can you show me this cloth bag?" "Yes, okay." Liu Erlong handed the bag to Xiao Wu. "What's wrong, Xiao Wu?" Tang San looked at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu shook her head nervously. "It's nothing, I just think this bag is pretty and I want to take a look." "Oh," Tang San responded in a low voice. Xiao Wu was always a little nervous when he lied. He knew it in his heart, but he didn't say anything. Looking at them, Jin Renai suddenly thought of what Lu Yaxin had said to her before last time she asked Lu Yaxin to interrogate Yu Xiaogang. At that time Lu Yaxin seemed to have put a soul beast's curse mark on Yu Xiaogang's body. Under Lu Yaxin's control, the curse mark would cause the person to be cursed. People are in agony, their whole body hurts like ants biting them, and the pain points are nowhere to be found. Looking at Yu Xiaogang's behavior now, it is most likely that the curse seal placed on him by Lu Yaxin took effect, which is why the situation worsened. Jin Renai sat on the branch and looked at them as if she were watching a joke. She shook her legs gently, with a satisfied look on her face. It seemed that she would have to add chicken drumsticks to Ziner when she went back if she guessed correctly. Tang San and the others should have met Ziner in Xiandao City, otherwise they wouldn't have Ziner's aura on them. Ziner, although she lacks part of Lu Yaxin's temperament, she remembers this clearly. It seems that he hates these people from the bottom of his heart. And just as Jin Renai was watching with great interest, a figure suddenly appeared under the tree where she was, with a blue electric light on his body, and he suddenly attacked her. Jin Renai dodged and distanced herself from the figure. She landed on the branch of another tree not far away and looked intently at the person who attacked her. The opponent was a young man who looked similar to Yu Xianhen. He frowned slightly, clenched his fists, and attacked Jin Renai with electric momentum. Jin Renai raised his eyebrows slightly, moved back, and left. After leaving the mountain where Tang San and the others were, they headed to another mountain. There was a gust of wind in the forest, and Tang San looked outside warily, but found no one, but there were traces of lightning falling on the ground. The terrain of the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect is complex, and Jin Renai is not familiar with it, so she can only run around randomly. The young man behind her followed closely and had no intention of letting her go. Jin Renai looked back and thought it was not the time to waste time here, not to mention that there were several people in the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect. She is a master. If she really gets into a fight with Yu Xiangxin here, she will only be unable to reap the benefits. "Why are you chasing me?" Jin Renai stopped, fell from the air, and arrived in an empty valley. The interior of the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect is surrounded by mountains. Almost every peak has a valley. There are many trees and there are many sounds of birds in the forest. When the Kaienren moon falls in the valley, it brings a strong wind, and the trees in the entire valley are blown away. There was a rustling sound, and then Yu Xiangxin, who was chasing behind her, also fell down. Chapter 145. Yu Xiangxin. The two faced each other. Yu Xiangxin looked at the mask of the evil ghost in front of her and frowned. "Who are you and why are you so sneaky?" It was impossible to enter the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect quietly. The gates outside were strictly guarded, and it was impossible to let in all the cats and dogs. This was the first time he had seen such a strange person like Jin Renai, but it doesn't rule out whose guest she is. It can be seen that she is peeking at her own aunt. Yu Xiangxin will inevitably think that Jin Renai is not a good person, but because he considered that Jin Renai might be the guest of some elder, he did not call the guards. but came to confirm it himself. Who is being sneaky? You attacked me as soon as I came up. I haven't said you were rude yet, Jin Renai replied, reaching out and touching her pocket, ready to show him the warrant Yu Xianheng gave him. Unexpectedly, the warrant disappeared. Jin Renai blinked under the mask, her hands paused slightly, and she suddenly felt a little embarrassed. There is no warrant, she is dressed like this. Can Yu Xianheng believe what she says? If you're not sneaky, why are you hiding there and peeking? Yu Xianheng hasn't realized what Jin Renai's actions mean yet. He just wants to ask clearly who Jin Renai is. If he is really his guest, he didn't care. If not, he would have to call someone. Moreover, who are you and how did you enter the sect? Of course I came in through the main entrance. Jin Renai said she was walking in a hurry just now and didn't pay attention to the warrant in her pocket. In addition, Yu Xianheng's attack came quickly, so she probably dropped it halfway. Even if we go back to look for it, this sect is so big that it would be enough to search across 2 mountains. You are not a disciple of the sect, Yu Xianheng affirmed. How did you get in? If you don't tell the truth, don't blame me for being rude. Have you ever been polite? Jin Renai asked Yu Xianheng. I came in with a direct token from your sect, and I am not an unreasonable person. Direct token? Yu Xianheng frowned. Are you from Grandpa? Grandpa? Who is your grandpa? Jin Renai frowned. Yu Xianheng. You Luo Mian. Oh, Liu Erlong's scumbag father. Jin Renai curled her lips. Your sect's direct token is not produced wholesale. Your grandfather's was given to your aunt. Why, does he still have 2 pieces? Give me another piece. Yushin thought for a while. Makes sense. Then where did yours come from? He asked. Brother Xianheng gave it to me, Jin Renai said as she took off her mask, and the face of Tamzu Lotus was displayed in front of Yu Xianheng. Yu Xianheng was slightly startled, as if he thought of something. He blurted out, Jin Renai, huh? Do you know each other? Jin Renai was a little surprised by Yu Xianheng's words. Is she so famous? Tianheng told me about you, Yu Xianheng explained, putting away the soul power that was released. Did you come alone? He asked. Jin Renai nodded. Yes, I came alone, although I don't know how Yu Xianheng met her. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about what I thought before. Do you have any deep grudge against my uncle? Yu Xianheng suddenly asked. Jin Renai was stunned for a moment, then spread her hands and said, that's not true. He just stole and plagiarized. I just gave him a little lesson. It's not me who made him what he is today. Chapter 146 Featherless Bird. Stealing and plagiarism? What do you mean? Yu Xianheng asked with a frown. Jin Renai smiled softly. His theoretical knowledge is all based on reading the books in the Wuhan Palace Library and combining it with some of his own ideas. Not everything is his own, and most of the theoretical knowledge is his. There are all problems. For example, there are no useless martial souls, only useless soul masters. This theory cannot be confirmed by himself. How can there be no useless martial souls in this world? Only useless soul masters. Useless martial souls, soul masters are doomed to be useless. Don't tell me that Tang San's martial spirit is the blue-silver grass of the wasted spirit, but he can cultivate it. His one is not just any ordinary blue-silver grass, it is the blue-silver emperor. In addition, the martial arts spirit is blue-silver grass. The Soul Palace will not have trouble with a person who has no ability to resist, and will not take action against him if the evidence is not conclusive. Yu Xianheng lowered his eyes and was silent for a while. To be honest, he also felt that some of Yu Xianheng's theories were not right, but now based on Jin Renai's words alone, it was impossible for him to believe that his uncle plagiarized. Although Wuhan Palace would not easily fight with a weak person, make life difficult for, whether you believe it or not has nothing to do with me, but I have other things to do now, so I won't talk to you anymore. After saying this, Jin Renai unfolded her ice phoenix wings and left the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect. Now that Ziner has taken action, there is no need for her to take action against Yu Xianheng. I believe that it won't be long before she goes to see Yu Xianheng again, and he will reveal everything he knows. It takes 3 to 5 years to practice the divine patterns. It is impossible for Jin Renai to really rely on the divine patterns to find the whereabouts of Xuanling. What's more, her intuition tells her that Xuanling may not last that long. If she doesn't think about other things, I'm afraid it will be a step later. Yu Xianheng knew about her father, so there was nothing better than torturing him and making him tell the truth. When Jin Renai left, Yu Xianheng did not stop him. He looked at Jin Renai's back and frowned slightly, not knowing what he was thinking after leaving the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Jin Renai went directly to the Star Dou Forest after spending a whole night. We arrived at the Star Forest at dawn. It was not difficult to find the fourth soul ring for Jiu Lan. King Lun and Guangling took action and quickly found the right one for her. However, it took time to absorb the soul ring. King Lun protected Jiu Lan while Guangling sat in the tree. Looking at the sky, one night passed, and the absorption of Jiu Lan was not over yet. King Lun and Guangling welcomed Jin Renai. When he saw Jin Renai, Guangling thought he was dreaming. He rubbed his eyes to confirm that he had seen the right person, then jumped off the tree and went straight to Jin Renai. What are you doing? Is the side matter finished? I'm more efficient, Jin Renai said with a smile. Guangling laughed. Indeed, our Yu is always fast at doing things, but, where are Lao Qi and Ziner? He glanced behind Jin Renai, but didn't notice the familiar aura, so he couldn't help but ask. Jin Renai said before that she was going to rendezvous with Jiang Mo and the others. Since it was a rendezvous, why was there no sign of Jiang Mo and Ziner now? I didn't go looking for them, Jin Renai explained. I went to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect and found that Ziner struck first. In order to praise her, I didn't bother them. That's it. Guangling nodded without saying anything. He pointed at Jiu Lan, who was still sitting cross-legged on the ground, and said, "You this girl hasn't finished absorbing it yet. I saw it, Jin Renai. It will take some time to absorb the fourth soul ring. If you don't want to stay here, you can walk around to relax." After Jin Renai's words revealed her thoughts, Guangling stopped pretending. He took Jin Renai's hand and said, "Then you accompany me for a walk around to relax, okay?" Jin Renai raised a smile. The two looked at each other, and then flew away from the place together. The breeze blew King Lun's broken hair, who was sitting on the ground. He slowly opened his eyes, looked up at the departing figures of the two people, and shook his head. Jin Renai and Guangling flew up in the fish-white sky. Guangling took her hand and led her to fly in another direction. "Where are you taking me?" Jin Renai asked. "Yesterday, third brother and I saw a featherless bird over there. It just so happens that you are here today, so I will take you to see the joke," Guangling said with a smile. "A featherless bird?" Jin Renai's lips twitched. "Is it hairless on its own, or was it affected by you?" "Hey, I can't hide anything from you, Guangling explained. "Actually, you can't blame me for this. The main reason is that guy Xiao insisted on playing with a bird. He accidentally injured it without paying attention." "What about Xiao?" Jin Renai asked. "Isn't he sleeping under the tree?" Guangling said. "If it weren't for the fact that he insisted on protecting the featherless bird, I would have roasted and eaten the bird last night. It's already boiled anyway, so there's no need to pluck it out." Jin Renai was speechless. Sure enough, he was still a child, and even a bird would be bullied after being pulled by Guangling to the other side of the Star Dou Forest. Jin Renai saw the bird that Guangling praised as featherless as expected. "This is a bird, right?" Jin Renai complained in front of her. A thin, petite and naked canary was sleeping with a lotus leaf covering her body. Guangling suddenly opened her lotus leaf, and the cool wind blew her away. The canary blew up and woke up. The canary looked up to the sky and roared, as if to express its dissatisfaction. The next moment, Guangling caught the canary and said, "You asked me to roast you and eat you. Canary is honest." Guangling took the canary and held it up in front of Jin Renai and said, "Look at you here. I'll say she's ugly." Canary bared her fangs towards Guangling. "Guangling, why, you still want to bite me? With your small body, let alone bite me, it's not easy to get out of my hands." Canary was angry. She shook her head and wanted to peck the feathers, but her neck was not that long now, and she couldn't grow bigger without feathers, so she could only be furious. Guangling teased her, but she was really not afraid of this canary pecking people. The little canary has no soul power. Jin Renai can't help but feel a little weird. Isn't she a soul beast? If it wasn't a soul beast, how could it survive in the Star Dou Forest? It's a spirit beast. Guangling said, "Last night she would flap her wings and attack people. You were still attacking people yesterday, but today you have no soul power." Jin Renai took the canary from Guangling's hand, held it in her own hand, looked at it carefully and said, "Ling, do you feel that? Does she look a bit like Grandpa King Lun's martial spirit?" End of this chapter. Chapter 147 done. And number 039, "Do you like me anymore?" Hiss. Guangling stared at the canary for a while, then frowned and said, "You don't tell me, it looks a bit like her if you look closely. Isn't she also a blue loon bird?" "No." Jin Renai interrupted his thoughts. "The King Loon bird is a sacred beast under the Queen Mother's throne, and it's not a bad bird. How could it appear here?" She should just grow up with a Guangling bird. It looks like, probably just a canary, the mythical beast under the Queen Mother's throne. Guangling looked at Jinru. What is the Queen Mother? He asked suspiciously. It's something you don't know. Jinru did not explain the meaning of the word. Guangling would not understand it anyway. In addition, the Queen Mother of the West would not appear in this plane, so there was no need to bother. She reached out and poked the canary and asked softly, "Are you willing to go home with me, little queer?" Seeing that Jinru didn't want to answer his question, Guangling thought he had said something wrong. Did he ask what the Queen Mother was? Why wasn't Yue willing to tell him? Is it something extraordinary? Guangling thought about it on his own, but couldn't figure it out. He smashed it and looked at the canary in Jinru's hand, and answered Jinru's question for her. She doesn't want to. I didn't ask you. How did you know she was unwilling? Jinru replied. Guangling explained, because I asked her last night. She refused to come with us. She would rather freeze here than stay warm with us. She is so stubborn. Jinru looked back at Guangling. You just told me that you wanted to roast her and eat her last night. It would be weird if she was willing to follow you. Hey, look what you said. I just acted on a whim. She is so small, I can eat 5 in one bite. Without this hair, she will look even smaller. It is not enough to fit between the teeth. How can I really eat her? Guangling and Jinru were talking, not forgetting to glance at Canary. The indifference in his eyes meant that he really didn't care, and he really didn't care if he didn't care. But in Canary's heart, he didn't care. Think so, she squeaked and looked at Guangling with a grin on her face, looking quite dissatisfied. Jinru patted her head gently and comforted her. Little queer, be good, he is joking with you. Ignore him. How can you ignore me, Yue? What you said is wrong. You didn't care about favoring the little phoenix before. Why are you still favoring this featherless bird today? Do you think you don't like me anymore? She didn't know that Guangling was just talking in school. Her tone was a bit aggrieved and pitiful, and it also talked about whether she liked it or not. Jinru laughed and looked at him with a frown. Ling, what are you thinking about? Is she a little bird? I saw that she looks like a blue bird, and I thought it would be quite suitable to put Grandpa Guangling there, so I asked her if she wanted to go with us. It would be better for you. You are deliberately causing trouble. I can't say anything about you two. Sentence, where did I make trouble? Guangling curled her lips and said, I'm telling the truth. Okay, tell the truth, but Ling, let me tell you something. You wanted to roast her and eat her last night. Could she go with you last night? And didn't she lose her feathers because you affected her? If it were her, she wouldn't have left with you last night. Jinru reasoned and analyzed, and it really has nothing to do with whether I like you or not. How can I not like you because of a little bird? Why, do you think you are no better than a little bird in my heart? She raised her face in front of Guangling, her heterochromatic eyes exuding a joyful and cheerful color. She stared at Guangling closely, with a smile on her lips. Her chiseled face and delicate facial features, the pale pink lips are all attracting Guangling's attention. Guangling looked at her with crooked eyebrows and seemed to be in a trance. He pursed his lips, and his heart suddenly became agitated. He swallowed mouthfuls of saliva in his throat. At this time, he felt that the person in front of him was particularly tempting, and his water flowed out. Although Furin is not as charming as a person, this kind of person seems to be born with the ability to charm, and one can easily fall for her. Haha. Looking at Guangling's awkward expression, Jinru couldn't help but smile crisply. She stood on tiptoe and touched Guangling's lips under the water and said, Ling, don't worry, I like you. Guangling's pupils dilated slightly, and he stared at Jinru blankly, unable to react for a moment. Jinru smiled softly, thinking that he should read the book more, so that he could firmly grasp the man in his hands. In the past month, since she came out of seclusion, Jinru has secretly looked at the drawing books circulating with Ziner from time to time. Although they all read the same routines that she had seen before, the drawings and calligraphy were still different. Yes, she looked at it carefully and understood it carefully. To this day, she really understood something. Jinru smiled and lowered her head, looking at the canary in her hand. How are you, little bird? How are you thinking about it? Do you want to come with me? Canary raised her head, neither shaking her head nor nodding, as if she was thinking about something. Moon. At this time, Guangling, who was standing in front of Jinru, spoke up. Huh? Jinru raised her head, subconsciously facing her. She was greeted by Guangling's kiss. Thump. The canary in her hand suddenly fell to the ground. Jinru opened her eyes slightly, and Guangling moved her lips. Yue, close your eyes. The magnetic male voice reached her ears. Jinru's cheeks were slightly red, and her eyes were closed consciously. Guangling held her cheeks, lowered her head and kissed her again. Their lips and teeth intertwined, and Jinru subconsciously hugged her. Holding his waist, Guangling and she felt each other's heartbeats from each other's bodies, and the kiss became passionate. The canary fell to the ground, and the whole body of the bird was hurt by the fall. She was chirping, but it did not affect the two people who were sandwiching her and spreading dog food. She lay on the ground a little helpless, and rolled their eyes dozens of times before the two people blushed and stopped. Canary, to be honest, sometimes it's quite helpless to be alone in the forest. Ling, it's getting late. If you don't go back, Grandpa Kinglun will be looking for you later. The atmosphere between the two was too ambiguous. In order to calm her restless heart, Jinru found a reason to end it first. Her voice was gentle and small, which was quite different from usual. Guangling hugged her waist, but didn't care so much. She was obviously the one who provoked him first. How could she stop just when she said to stop? Yue, I haven't hugged you for a long time. I want to hug you more, he spoke out, directly blocking Jinru's thoughts of escaping, and hugged her tightly. He didn't want to relax for a moment, but it made Jinru a little nervous. Ling, Chapter 148 named Kingaeo. Don't talk, just hold me for a while, Guangling said. Jinru. She leaned into Guangling's arms and said no more. A long time. The sky gradually became brighter, and Guangling reluctantly let go of Jinru. Jinru looked at him and smiled softly, but she didn't say anything about the relationship between the two of them. After Xiao Lan absorbs the soul ring, I plan to go to the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect. Going to see your master? Guangling asked. Jinru replied, I suspect that the flower god artifact my mother mentioned is the Jiulian sword. So, don't I have to ask my master about the origin of this sword? Although I already have a rough idea in my mind, no matter what, you still have to listen to the person involved, right? Well, what you said makes sense. I'll go with you. He and Jinru have been separated for 3 months. He doesn't want to stay separated for that long again. Who knows that this time Jinru will go to the Kibao Glazed Sect. He would not accidentally start the divine test. If he started the divine test again, he probably wanted to see Jinru, but he would not be able to see her. It's better to cherish the time now. At least, the person is still with you. You can go if you want. Jinru knelt down and picked up the canary that she dropped on the ground. Anyway, as long as you want to do something, I can't stop you, can I? Haha. Guangling laughed loudly. That's true. Yue understands me. Okay, let's go first. Jiulan's side is probably almost finished. Guangling responded. Jinru hugged Canary, and the two of them flew to where Xiao Lan and Qingluan were. Xiaoju woke up after sleeping enough. Seeing that Jiulan was still absorbing the soul ring, he couldn't help but close his eyes again and planned to continue sleeping. At this time, Guangling's voice suddenly sounded in the sky. Big blue bird, we are back. Qingluan raised his eyes and saw Guangling and Jinru landing one after another. His attention was focused on the featherless bird in Jinru's arms. You said you had something to do and you just wanted to find this bird? Yeah, what's wrong? Guangling replied. Qingluan was speechless for a while. Could it be that he didn't know whether the two of them were looking for birds or alone to have a romantic relationship? This bird was most likely given to him by the fortress. Grandpa Qingluan, this little bird is quite spiritual. It is quite beautiful to keep in Qingluan Palace. It can be used as a pendant. Jinru handed the canary to Qingluan. Canary looked pitifully at the handsome man in front of her, as if begging him to take her away. However, Qingluan was not a person who could easily pity others. He glanced at the canary in Jinru's hand and said, Yue, don't you think it won't look good in Qingluan Palace after she becomes bald? Jinru said up. Grandpa Qingluan, although she is a bit unattractive now, she will probably still be very pretty when her fur grows back. Your Qingluan Palace is so deserted. Why raise a little bird? It's nice to be lively and lively. Right, wrong, Qingluan said calmly. Yue, you all know that my Qingluan Palace is deserted. Why do you have to raise a bird to make it lively in Qingluan Palace? The Xiao Wu Palace is quite lively, so it is perfect to keep a bird in his place. Isn't it? Jinru glanced at Guangling and then at Canary. A ling is not suitable to raise this thing, Aling. Qingluan knew the key points. When Jinru saw this, he immediately changed his words and said, Grandpa Guangling, big blue bird, don't go too far. At this time, Guangling couldn't help but said, If you really don't like this bird, I will roast the bird and eat it. This will save everyone the trouble, right? Eat, 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 you know how to eat. Jin Renai glared at him. Guangling shrugged helplessly. Then what can I do? If the bird is not used to eat, what else can it be used for? Jin Renai, seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel again, Qinglun spoke up. Okay, since it is a gift from Yue, I will accept it. As soon as he finished speaking, he used his soul power to pull the canary into his hand. Looking down at Queer, he was silent for a while and then said, from now on, your name will be Kingayeo? Canary nodded excitedly, but she was happy. Qinglun didn't know why she was so happy. After he put the bird into the soul guide, he stopped talking in response. Jin Renai and Guangling looked at each other and smiled slightly, as if they had achieved some purpose. The few of them stayed in the Star Dou Forest for a while, and it wasn't until the sunset that Xiao Wu finished absorbing the soul ring. When she opened her eyes, what she saw was Jin Renai. Little lord, Xiao Wu stood up immediately, as if she had thought of something. Have I absorbed it for a long time? She looked a little embarrassed and slowly lowered her eyes. Jin Renai looked at her and said, it won't take long, just 2 days. I'm going to work quickly this time, so I came to see you in advance. Xiao, oh, she answered softly, and her temper was really soft. Jin Renai shook her head. Sure enough, she was born with a soft temper. Even if her memory was erased, she would still be like this. Now that Sister Jiulin has absorbed the soul ring, can we go back? Xiao suddenly jumped out and said after staying here for 2 days, he began to miss the bed in Mingyu Palace. As long as Jin Renai gives the order now, he will definitely go back without hesitation and without delay. Of course, Jin Renai looked at Qinglun and explained her plan. Grandpa Qinglun, please take them back first. Guangling and I still need to go to the Kibao Glazed Sect. I have something to solve. 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. In response to this, Qinglun couldn't help but ask, are you related to the Kibao Glazed Sect? Well, I have a master. His name is Chenzin, Sword Douluo. Chenzin. Qinglun glanced at Guangling and saw that Guangling looked like it had nothing to do with him, so he probably knew that Guangling had known about it for a long time. Proceed with caution, it's been a little uneasy outside lately, Qinglun ordered. Oh, I see. Jin Renai nodded and smiled. She knew that Qinglun was the one who understood her meaning without asking any questions, considering that only one person in Qinglun's group can fly. Although Xiaoju is an ice crystal phoenix, his wings are on Jin Renai, so now he is a fake bird that cannot fly. So the carriage, Jin Renai and Guangling gave way to the group. The two teams parted ways in the Star Dou Forest. Jin Renai and Guangling spent a day and soon arrived at the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect. It happened to be Shrek Academy's holiday. At this time, Ningrongrong was at home. Zhu Huking happened to follow her back to the Kibao Glazed Sect this time. The two little girls were playing outside and happened to see Jin Renai and Guangling falling from the sky. End of this chapter. Chapter 149. Yue. Even though Jin Renai has changed a lot compared to before, Zhu Huking still recognized the person at first sight. She and Ningrongrong were weaving lanterns to put out during the Mid-Autumn Festival. At this moment, when she saw Jin Renai, she immediately put down the lantern in her hand and went straight to Jin Renai. Yue, monthly. Ningrongrong looked in the direction of Zhu Huking. When she saw Jin Renai, Ningrongrong couldn't help but froze. Jin Renai. If he didn't look carefully, Ningrongrong would really not be able to recognize that the girl not far away from him was actually Tang Yue and Jin Renai. It's only been 3 or 4 months since I last saw Jin Renai. How could she have changed so much? Bamboo Quing. Jin Renai reached out and hugged Zhu Huking, who was running toward her. Long time no see. The two of them hadn't seen each other for a long time since the last time they said goodbye in the Xianda Great Soul Fighting Arena. Jin Renai was a little surprised that Zhu Huking could recognize her at a glance. It seems that there is nothing wrong with saying that the kitten is truly in love. Yue. Zhu Huking looked at Jin Renai, as if he had something to say, but it was difficult to say. In this situation, not only Jin Renai and Guangling were present, but Ningrongrong was also present. Ningrongrong has not yet been instigated by her to rebel, so there are some things that are naturally difficult to talk about. Jin Renai understood what Zhu Huking was thinking, and she winked at Zhu Huking. Zhu Huking understood, and asked Jin Renai with some confusion, Yue, why are you here? Yes, Yue, why are you here? Ningrongrong also asked along with Zhu Huking. She stepped forward, looked at Jin Renai, and then at Guangling, who was standing behind Jin Renai. Guangling's aura was extraordinary. Ningrongrong knew that this person's soul power level was probably no less than her grandpa Jian's. Ningrongrong was more cautious than curious. After all, Jin Renai was now the second young lady of Wuhan Palace. I'm here to see my master. Jin Renai smiled slightly. Looking at Ningrongrong's expression, she guessed that this girl probably didn't know that Chen Xin had accepted her as her disciple as expected. Ningrongrong's reaction was greater than Zhu Zhuking's. Master? Yu, who is your master? In Cabello Glazed sect, you can count the number of people who can be masters of Jin Renai with your fingers. Ningrongrong said, is it my father or Grandpa Bones? According to the frequency of these two people leaving the sect, Ningrongrong could only think that it would be the two of them after all. Her Grandpa Jian never left the door, and with his cold and dusty temperament, he didn't look like someone who would go out to recruit disciples at all, so it was quite normal for her to exclude him. Jin Renai didn't say goodbye after hearing Ningrongrong's words. She smiled softly and said, it's Sword Douluo. What? After hearing this, Ningrongrong was stunned for a moment. Grandpa Jian. She was a little surprised and said, when did Grandpa Jian take on his disciples? Why didn't I know? Because you weren't here at that time. A steady voice came from behind Ningrongrong. The person who came was Chen Xin, a Sword Douluo dressed in white. Jin Renai bowed slightly towards Chen Xin and said, Master, yes, Xiao Wu. Chen Xin nodded towards Jin Renai and said nothing else. Grandpa Jian. Ningrongrong turned around and ran straight into Chen Xin's arms. Chen Xin hugged her and said helplessly, Rongrong, why are you still acting like a child? Rongrong will always be a child in front of Grandpa Jian. Ningrongrong said with a smile, by the way, Grandpa Jian, when did you take Yu as your disciple? Why didn't you say anything to me? She said in a slightly coquettish tone that if she had known about this relationship a long time ago, she would not have to worry about how to have a good relationship with Jin Renai. Before the match in the Xianda Great Soul Fighting Arena, Chen Xin said truthfully, oh, Ningrongrong responded, thought for a while, and said nothing at this time. Chen Xin turned his attention to Jin Renai. Xiao, I came here this time because I have something to ask my teacher, right, Master Mingjian. Jin Renai smiled slightly. Chen Xin nodded, it just so happens that I, my teacher, have something to tell you. After finishing speaking, he looked at Ningrongrong and said, Rongrong, you play with your friends first. Grandpa and Xiao have something to talk about, so I won't go with you. Grandpa Jian, what's going on? Do I know? Ningrongrong blinked her big eyes like glass, full of curiosity. Chen Xin touched her head gently and said, no, Rongrong. Oh, okay then. Ningrongrong said a little disappointed after saying goodbye to Zhu Zhuking. Jin Renai followed Chen Xin to his yard. It was late tonight, so Chen Xin left Jin Renai in his yard for a meal. It was only today that he officially met Guangling, who was beside Jin Renai. Now the relationship between Jin Renai and Guangling is different. Jin Renai has no intention of hiding it anymore. In addition, her trip was originally for the Jiulian sword, which was her mother's relic. Chen Xin also said this, it is the sword of an old friend, so he must know Jiuxiner. Speaking of which, Jin Renai is also the daughter of his old friend. At the dinner table, Jin Renai told Chen Xin most of what she learned about Jiuxiner. By the way, she asked about Jiulian sword. When Chen Xin learned that Jin Renai was Jiu Zioner's daughter, he wasn't too surprised. He had guessed this possibility before, so when he actually learned the answer, he seemed a little calm. After Jin Renai's face changed, Chen Xin felt that the girl in front of him did look a bit like the original Jiuxiner. Your mother, I already knew that she was extraordinary, but I didn't expect that she would be so extraordinary, Chen Xin said while eating the food. The Jiulian sword is indeed an item left by your mother. This sword was originally used by your mother. When I met your mother, she told me that it was a soul sword. The sword of the beast, so at that time, I gave you the same explanation. But Xiao, although your mother said that this sword was the sword of the soul beast, my teacher did not think so. The power of this sword, it is not inferior to the 7 kills sword. If it is just a soul beast companion sword, it cannot have such a strong killing aura. I think this sword may not be that simple. Jin Renai nodded in agreement. Chen Xin really thought of her together. Jiu Zioner was the former goddess of flowers. Even if she went through the tribulation, the fact that she was the goddess of flowers would not change. What's more, she had already experienced the tribulation successfully at that time, but she chose to give up. And how could the Jiulian sword, which appeared as Jiu Zioner's companion sword, just be an ordinary soul beast sword? According to Jin Renai's thoughts, This Julian sword is most likely the artifact of the flower god. However, this sword seems to be unable to exert its full strength in her hand. Xiao Wu, I'm curious about something. Your mother died more than 10 years ago, but you are only 11 years old. Why is that? End of this chapter. Chapter 150. Is this robbery? And as far as Chen Xin knew, Jiuxiner didn't even have a body. Where did her daughter come from? About this, Jin Renyu thought for a while. Actually, I am more than 11 years old. You should be able to tell by looking at my current appearance. Just treat me as an adult. Yeah, that's okay. Chen Xin nodded, assuming that Jin Renyu didn't know how old she was. After finishing the off-topic remarks, Jin Renyu turned to the Jiulian sword again. Master, do you know anything else special about the Jiulian sword? Any other special place? Chen Xin thought for a moment, put down the bowl and chopsticks, and said softly, Jiulian sword has been in Xiangxiaking for many years. I don't remember very clearly what happened in the past, but as I just said, Jiulian sword has been in Xiangxiaking for many years. The sword of pity is by no means just the companion sword of the soul beast. When this sword was in your mother's hands, it could control the seasons of flowers, plants and trees. However, the last time the Jiulian sword recognized you as its master, the Spring Festival also appeared seen. Can you control the blooming of flowers, plants and trees? Jin Renyu and Guangling glanced at each other subconsciously. She put down the chopsticks in her hand and recalled the scene when Julian's sword recognized its master that day. Jiuxiner is the god of flowers, so it's not surprising that she can control the growth of vegetation. So this Nine-Lian sword, is it the flower god artifact? I'm not particularly clear about the origin of the Jiulian sword. What I told you is what your mother once told me. But I vaguely remember that the Jiulian sword is in your mother's hand and in your hand. 2 looks. Chen Xin seemed to have remembered something again, and he said, by the way, Yue, the Jiulian sword emits a red light in your hand, but in your mother's hand, it emits a green light. When she holds the Jiulian sword, she has a very strong killing aura, which can even be compared with a 7 kills sword. But your mother, when she holds the Jiulian sword, she has a very soft power. Since you came up after I left for the first time, my teacher always felt that something was wrong, but today, I have thought about it clearly. Different power. Jin Renyu frowned slightly. Did the Jiulian sword change with the aura of its master? No matter how deep things are, I don't understand them. Yue, if you still have any questions, I'm afraid you need to find them yourself. Chen Xin said. Jin Renyu came to Kibao Glazed Sect today, and Chen Xin also knew what she wanted to ask at first. He had thought that Jin Renyu was Jiu Zioner's daughter, but he was never sure. After all, Jiulian's sword belonged to Jiu Zioner. She had also personally said that if she wanted Jiulian's sword to recognize her as its owner, there would be no other choice but to be truly destined. Otherwise, it must be inherited by her bloodline. During the few months of seclusion, he also considered the second possibility, so he kept waiting for Jin Renyu's arrival. Because of this, he felt it as soon as Jin Renyu arrived. By the way, Master, have you absorbed the fairy grass I gave you? After asking about her own affairs, she had to care about Chen Xin's affairs. Jin Renyu looked at Chen Xin eagerly. If she had absorbed everything, she would most likely have entered level 97. In this case, she would. If you cheat the master once, it won't matter, right? Seeing Jin Renyu's malicious look, Chen Xin coughed lightly and said, I absorbed it. The fairy grass you gave me really shocked me. I have been stuck with 97 for more than 10 years, level. But he easily broke through after absorbing that fairy grass. It is really a divine thing. He was a little surprised that Jin Renyu could give him such a good thing. After all, the Kibao Glazed Sect and the Wuhan Palace have no contact. Jin Renyu is the second lady of Wuhan Palace, so that fairy grass is most likely from Wuhan Palace, right? With Chen Xin thinking this, Jin Renyu looked him over and said, Master, there is something that I may need your help with. Huh? What's the matter? Chen Xin asked. Humph. Jin Renyu chuckled. Master, your apprentice and I are a bit tight lately. You want money? Chen Xin glanced at Guangling subconsciously. That look seemed to be saying, don't you have any money? Guangling turned away his eyes, looking unconcerned with Chen Xin. His money had already been handed over to Jin Renyu. How could he still have any money for her? What's more, he didn't actually have much money. Once his salary was paid, people would after going out to wander. There's nothing else but a palace with real estate after all. The Guangling Palace and the Wuhan Palace cannot be sold, right? How many do you want? Seeing Jinru and Guangling put down their dishes, Chen Xin asked his servants to clear the table. He motioned Jinru to sit at the tea table. Jinru and Guangling stood up and followed. They sat on the blanket together. Chen Xin asked questions while washing the tea. Jinru looked at him and said tentatively, 1 million gold soul coins, puff. Before Chen Xin could react, the boiled water from Guangling's mouth spurted out first. He turned to look at Jinru in shock, his eyes widened, as if to say, "Are you robbing?" Jinru didn't pay attention to Guangling's look. She kept looking at Chen Xin, and she saw a slight look of disbelief on Chen Xin's face. His hand washing the tea paused, and he was obviously a little confused. "You, seriously?" Seeing Chen Xin say this seriously, Jinru couldn't help laughing. "Of course I'm joking, 100 million gold soul coins. Although master, your Cabello glazed sect is not short of money, it's not like this, don't you use money?" Although Jinru said so, Chen Xin still felt that the money she wanted was probably not much different from the 100 million gold soul coins. What does this girl need so much money for? If it's not 100 million, then how about hundreds of thousands? Chen Xin asked. "Hey, master, do you understand?" Jinru chuckled and said, "Not much, just half of it." Chen Xin took a mouthful of phlegm and almost couldn't swallow it. 50 million gold soul coins. Is this to expose his background? "Master, this is a loan." Seeing that Chen Xin was a little hesitant, Jinru couldn't help but add something. "Borrowed." Chen Xin glanced at Guangling and said with a joking smile, "Why, is Wuhan Palace shortchanging you? Why don't you consider coming to Cabello Glazed sect to be the second lady of our sect?" Jinru smiled awkwardly and said, "Not really, but when I go out, I have to have some money with me. In this world, it's not that easy to do things without money." "Nonsense," Chen Xin said sharply. "I think you just want to trick your master and me." "Oh, how can that be possible, master? Didn't my disciple say that this is a loan? When I have money, I will definitely pay it back." Jinru couldn't help but coquettishly said, "Is her thought so easy for others to see? Haha, the prerequisite is that you have money." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.